Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, what's popping? What's popping? You know, happy day of Nimrod. Excuse me, Merry Christmas, Happy Saturday. No, excuse me, Merry Christmas. you know, happy Festival of Yule. Excuse me, Merry Christmas. mm, 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 mm. You know, yeah, black curls, I don't celebrate that shit. I don't celebrate that. Let me tell you something. It's no offense to those who celebrate Christmas, but I don't. For those of you that have been watching me for a long time, would know that I'm a professed Hebrew Israelite. And according to our beliefs, so-called Christmas is a pagan practice that has nothing to do with the tradition of our people and our ancestors. So we don't celebrate that. Factually speaking, Christmas has its roots in sun worship, which is abominable according to the beliefs of the Israelites. And well, even for the chat, I don't give a fuck. we ain't on that tip over here. If you celebrate it, that's cool. We ain't on that tip over here. But it's the roots of Christmas stems from sun worship. And of course, according to our beliefs as Israelites, worshiping the sun is abominable. Worshiping anything other than the one and only creator is abominable. It's abominable. So, and engaging in any type of practice that deals with the veneration of any other quote unquote God outside of the one and only creator is once again considered abominable. Same thing when it comes to so-called Christmas. And the thing is that over the years in my life, I realized that most people know the pagan roots of Christmas, right? Because the thing is that the funny thing is that a lot of people in this society claim to be quote unquote Christians, claim to believe in God, they claim to believe in Jesus Christ as their true Lord and Savior, but then celebrate Christmas knowing that the true roots of their holiday has nothing to do with their Lord and Savior. It has a lot to do with sun worship, and they practice it anyway. And and they know this, but they celebrate Christmas anyway. So I come to realize that people celebrate these holidays, understanding the roots of these holidays in order to be socially accepted. Because celebrating holidays like Christmas is something that people do to be socially accepted. And although most people know the true origins of holidays like Christmas, Easter, and Halloween, but their need to be accepted by society is more important than their beliefs. Therefore, they'll practice it anyway because in society, it's socially accepted right now in this time to celebrate these holidays. Thus, like I said before, social acceptance or the need for people to be accepted by society is more important to them than their actual beliefs. Thus, they'll celebrate these holidays knowing that it goes contrary towards their beliefs. But that was due to the Catholic Church or the Roman Catholic Church at the time. That that there's a Roman Pope. I think Pope Julius, one of the popes, Pope Julius, who believed, okay, during the time, during the time, okay, of the early Roman Catholic Church, there was a theory in which it was believed that March 25th was the conception of Christ. You know, where Mary conceived Jesus. It was believed. It was just a theory that was believed that her conception was on December 25th, right? But then, and 9 months after, March. Her conception was in March, according to that belief, and 9 months after March is December 25th. That's one theory. Where the whole Jesus was born on December 25th came from. Another thing, which is actually based on true historical records, is that during the time of the Roman Catholic Church, there was also a quote unquote pagan religion that stood contrary towards quote unquote Christianity. And this pagan religion, I forgot the name of this pagan religion, they worshipped or they celebrated a custom called Saturnalia, where they worship a god called Saturn. And Saturnalia was celebrated, the holiday, according to that religion, Saturnalia was celebrated from December 17th all the way to December 23rd. But on December 21st, which is the winter solstice in anywhere north of the equator, that's when it was the shortest day of the year. So people would celebrate that. This is the wacky world of not NY, bro. Yo. Hold on for a minute. I'm looking at something for a minute. You know what? What's going on, 1Gs? Okay, to make the long story short, when it comes to the belief of Jesus being born on December 25th, like I said, one theory was that Christians believe that Christ was conceived on March 25th, and 9 months after March 25th is December 25th. That's one belief. Another is that, once again, people would celebrate the winter solstice. And some would celebrate the winter solstice on December 25th. But the thing is that at that time, during the Roman Empire, where you had a brand new religion called Christianity that was competing against other pagan religions, what happened is, in order for Christianity to become like certain people within the Christian or the Roman Catholic Church who wanted Christianity to be more popular, to be a more popular religion amongst the people, decided to incorporate festivities from other religions, and one of them was the celebration of Saturnalia, and incorporated that into their religion, but then cover it up by saying, on this day, it's the day of Jesus Christ. Therefore, you can celebrate and party and exchange gifts. Because during the pagan practice of Saturnalia, people would party, drink, exchange gifts, practice orgies. Once again, this is during the Roman Empire. engage in orgies and what have you. Thus, I think it had to be around the 300s, somewhere around 331 AD. The Catholic Church officially recognized, quote unquote, December 25th as the birth of Jesus, but it wasn't until somewhere within the 500s, like 550 AD, where the Roman Catholic Church made quote unquote Christmas an official holiday amongst the Christian religion. So that's really this whole origin of Jesus being born on December 25th. In which, when you read the Bible, whether you believe the Bible to be true or not, I believe it to be real, but yeah, that's for another topic. But the Bible never gave an exact date as to when who the world called Jesus Christ was born. There was never an exact date, but it provided clues and certain events of what was happening at the time of Jesus' birth. Now, if you read the book of Luke, I think chapter 2, it spoke about the birth of Christ, right? The birth of who the world called Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yeshua. Some may say Yahweh Shai, or, they both mean the same thing, right? Now, when he was born in the land of Israel, around that time, you had shepherds. Around that time, the book of Luke, I think chapter 2, described around the time that there were shepherds that was outside with the sheep, looking after the sheep. Now, it's important to understand this, because if you do your research when it comes to Hebrew customs, when the Hebrews had shepherds, the only time the shepherd would let sheep graze outside in the fields would be around the spring and autumn when it was warm outside. Because contrary to popular belief, it gets cold in the land of Israel. It gets cold. People think because Israel is in the so-called Middle East, it doesn't get cold. It gets cold. So the only time, once again, when you do your research on Hebrew customs and how Hebrews did things, when you had shepherds looking after the sheep, they would allow sheep to go outside and graze and do whatever outside in the fields during the spring and autumn time. In the winter time, the shepherds would have their fields go inside caves for they could stay warm. So the fact that around the time Jesus was born, that sheep was outside, outdoors in the field, meaning that most likely Christ was born around the spring or the autumn. Another clue, which points around the time of Jesus' birth, was in another Bible scripture. It spoke about Jesus's 12th birthday being around the time of the Passover. Now, if anybody know about the Passover, which is one of the most important holy days of the Israelites, and also anybody that practice a so-called Judaism, the Passover falls, according to the Hebrew calendar, the 15th day of the month of Abib. Now, the 15th day of the month of Abib in the calendar that we use, called the Gregorian calendar, falls on any time between March or April, the springtime. So The fact that Jesus Christ's 12th birthday was around the time of the Passover, meaning that shows you that his birthday was around the springtime. Once again, the Bible never points out the exact day that Jesus Christ was born, but it points to certain events that was going on around the time of his date of birth or his birthday. And these things usually happens in the spring. So therefore, even according to the Bible, it would be impossible for Jesus Christ to be born all the way in the wintertime. Yeah, I know it's you. I recognize your face. Aram B. I recognize you. Shalom. Shalom. I recognize you. What's going on, Bronzeberg? What's going on, 1Gs? What's going on, Lady A, the Antisocial Socialite podcast? And it's funny because in the United States of America, right? Christmas wasn't celebrated until the 1800s. You know, when the Pilgrims first arrived in American shores and, and killed the natives and stole more of their land, and more Europeans came and killed more natives and stole their land. When the Pilgrims first landed in American shores, they did not allow Christmas to be celebrated because Christmas to them was an abominable custom. But it wasn't until the 1800s where people in America started accepting the holiday that we now know as Christmas, in which America was influenced by Christmas stories such as what's that a Christmas Carol? I think A Christmas Carol. What's that Christmas story when it came to Scrooge, Mr. Scrooge? All that, basically America was fed propaganda of Christmas being this gathering of family, sitting down at home, having a nice feast, enjoying their time together. So therefore, people in America bought into that, and then they started celebrating Christmas. And it was not until 1870 that the United States Congress passed something called the Holiday Act, in which they made days like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Independence Day, and New Year's Day official federal holidays in America. So Christmas was not even an official holiday in America until the year 1870. Around that time, Ulysses S. Grant was president. So although Christmas was hundreds of thousands of years old, stemming from pagan customs, it was not an official holiday in America, in the United States of America, until the year 1870. Yeah, Halloween was like that. Yeah, Book of Ronan, Tyrone Church, what's up? Yeah, man. So what's going on with y'all? But me, I'm the type of person that, although I don't celebrate that bullshit, but I don't throw shade at other people who do. I'm not like that. A lot of Israelites, a lot of Hebrew Israelites are known for bashing anyone that celebrate Christmas. In which, to me, I used to do that, But I got a little older and a little wiser and understand that bashing someone for celebrating something is not going to improve in enlightening a person. You have to sit down and teach. The most you can do is just tell the truth like it is, give out the information, teach, and leave it unto each and every individual to decide that the information that you gave to them is true, and it's up to them to decide what they'll do with that information. Are they going to take heed and stop practicing these pagan practices, or are they going to continue? Either way, it's no longer in your hands. And bashing someone for celebrating Christmas is only going to get them to become, it's only going to get people to become more rebellious, thus more motivated to continue celebrating Christmas and other pagan holidays. And then you're going to end up looking stupid, being all stressed out, yelling and bashing and cursing somebody out just because they doing something that you don't agree with. To me, that's dumb. The most a person can do is just give out the information and leave it up to each and every individual to decide what they'll do with that information. Yeah, a Christmas carol. Yeah, a Christmas carol. A Christmas carol. Yeah, America was very much influenced by stories like A Christmas Carol and other stories that fed America the propaganda of Christmas. Like I said before, sorry to be redundant, that Christmas is this celebration of family getting together, spending time with each other, and appreciating each other, being quote unquote thankful for each other. So it gave America this family. It gave them okay. And in the 1800s, around that time, stories like A Christmas Carol gave America this family-oriented view of Christmas, which influenced America to start adopting or starting celebrating the holiday we now know as Christmas during the mid 1800s. But it wasn't until the late 1800s, like I said before, 1870, when Christmas became an official federal holiday in the United States of America. What's going on, pure butterfly spirit? Yeah. You let people be. You let people be. Bronzebird, I agree with that. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with telling people the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. But after you tell people the truth, your job is to turn around and move on to another individual. You know, when it comes to enlightening someone with truth, you don't try to bash that person, nor try to force that person to agree with whatever information you're giving to that person. Just give the information, and after you're done, keep it moving. Your job when it comes to a person of truth, the job of a person of truth is just to enlighten. And in order to enlighten, you teach and you keep it moving. And this is the thing that a lot of Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters don't really understand. You know, a lot of Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, it's like on one hand, they're very passionate about what they believe, and they passionately want other people to be enlightened with the enlightenment that they receive. And at the and on another side too, they was taught wrong. They was taught by other people who had anger and who taught with anger. Thus, they learned that anger and start teaching other people with that same anger. So when you, so it's like if you claim to be a teacher and you're going to speak with people with an extreme level of anger, People will refuse for the most part to listen to you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a level of passion. There's even nothing wrong with having a certain level of anger, but you have to know how to use it the right way in order to captivate people. And a lot of Hebrew Israelites don't know how to do that. What's going Shalom, sir, Yahoo. What's up, pure butterfly spirit? Okay. So I've spoken for damn too much. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the panel, put the link in the chat, and open the panel. All right. So here's the link to the panel. This is an open panel. But although it's an open panel, it doesn't necessarily mean you could speak about anything that you want to speak about. We can speak about any topic as long as it involves intelligence, positivity, and all that other good shit. And once again, you know my rules. Be respectful. Respect me. Respect the other people on the panel. And one person speaks at a time. Yeah, right. Indignation and condemnation. Yeah. A lot of Hebrew Israelites, they that's their approach. Their approach is using indignation and condemnation. That's correct. And that is not the right way in order to teach people. If you want people to listen to you, you have to know which tone to use in order to get people to listen to you. You have to have proper presentation. You funny. Sexy Red, you funny. You said, damn, I can't call in then, Wacky. You funny. Exactly. Exactly. King of Lion Z45. Christmas and stuff. Christmas has nothing to do with Yeshua, period. Yeah. But then again, if people want to celebrate it, that's on them. But man, you know, but now on some manosphere shit. Now on some black manosphere shit. Yeah, that's like, what is this concept with people speaking about how so-called Hispanic females are in competition with so-called black females for black males? What type of shit is that? What's up, Antsy? What's going on? What's going on? To me, that's some dumbass shit. All right. When people state that so-called that Latina females are the enemies of so-called black females. Oh shoot. Antsy, I thought I gave you a wrench. Hold on. I thought I gave Antsy. Okay, now Antsy, you got a wrench, Antsy. I thought I gave you. Okay, so what up, Ayo? All right. So this is what I can't stand. I get it that okay. In America, this is my problem with that concept, which I think that Kevin Samuels brought the topic up. And you know, whatever Kevin Samuels talk about, you know, everybody in the so-called black manosphere want to follow suit like some bitches. You know, people can't be unique and come up with their own ideas and their own topics to talk about. They, you know, a lot of people always want to respond to what Kevin Samuels is talking about. But okay, right? All right. So now, man, y'all better get that happy holiday stuff out my damn chat. get that pagan shit out my damn chat. But anyhow, right? Okay. So on this shit. All right. in America, we have a tendency, and even I do that sometimes, right? Even I'm guilty of this, even though I know better, which is fucked up. We have a tendency of looking at Latinos as a separate race of people, in which quote unquote Latinos or Latinas or so-called Hispanics is not even a damn race, it's an ethnicity. And we sort of conflate the two. People don't understand the difference between an ethnicity and a race. And the thing is that when it comes to the Latin ethnicity, people of multiple races are members of the Latin ethnicity, including so-called black people. Thus, the term Afro-Latinas exists. See, ethnicity is dealing with culture. Ethnicity is anyone that belongs to a certain culture or a certain bloodline of people. Race is someone that belongs to a certain biological subgroup of human beings. Those are two completely separate categories. So when people want to compare Latinos to blacks, you're comparing an ethnicity to a race when so-called black people belong to the Latina ethnicity. You know? Right. Enhanced utility. Exactly. You a so-called black person, but you belong, or you a descendant of people that belongs to the Latino ethnicity. It's just like the so-called term African American. African Americans technically, and that's well, nah, well, can you consider African American to be an ethnicity? Can you? I was about to say that, but hey, but for sure, Latino or Latina is an ethnicity. So that's one thing. People are comparing an ethnicity to a race, right? Secondly, when people say that Latinas are enemies to black females or are in competition with black females for black males, to me, I would like to know where's the evidence of this? Where's the evidence of this? Right? Where's the evidence of this? Latina females are in competition with so-called black females for black males. See, I live in New York, specifically New York City, where we have an extremely large Latin population. And what I see in New York City is Latino people. And Joe W, what's up, Joe W? What's up, Joe W? And Latinos are blended in the same communities as so-called black people. So we're most likely in the same proximity. Go to the Bronx, go to certain parts of New York, like the Bronx, go to Harlem, go to Washington Heights, go to Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, go to the East New York section of Brooklyn, go to the Jamaica section of Queens, New York, and you will see Latinos and so-called Latinos and so-called black people blended in the same proximity together. Therefore, due to that, you find a lot of relationships between black people, so-called black people, and Latinos, if you want to separate Latinos from black people. That's why you see that's why you see an increasing percentage or an increasing rate of what you consider to be ADOS blacks having relations with people who are of Latin descent, because they're within the same proximity together, grew up in the same neighborhoods together, people went to school together, go to work together, are in social functions together. So thus it increases the chances of those two to intermingle and have relations together. That's really the true reasons why. And last time I checked, when it comes to the dating market, and you could even go to places like Miami, Florida, or Orlando, Florida, places like Los Angeles, California, and you see a lot of so-called in communities and inner cities, a lot of Latinos blended in the same communities as so-called black people. Even in Chicago, Illinois. You go to places like Newark, New Jersey. Go to places like Camden, New Jersey. Go to Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You see people who are considered Latinos living within the same proximity as people who are considered to be quote unquote black people or African Americans. Go to East Orange, New Jersey. Go to Jersey City, New Jersey. You're going to see that same dynamic. Thus, when people are living in with the same proximity of each other, it increases the chances of these people dating each other. So it's not that Latinas are in competition with so-called black females for black males. It's just that people are living in the same proximity to each other. Therefore, they're going to date each other. Not only that, but the last time I checked in the dating world, in the mating and dating world, everybody is in competition with each other for a mate. Every single female, no matter the skin color, no matter the ethnicity, are competing with each other for a potential mate. And it's the other way around too when it comes to males. Every male, no matter the skin color or the ethnicity, are competing with each other for a mate. Joe W says, I'm Afro Latino from Puerto Rico. Exactly. And Joe W is Joe W and enhanced utility are both examples of what I just said when it comes to ethnicity and race, because we tend to separate ethnicity and race. We tend to separate Latinos from so-called black people when Latino is an ethnicity that so-called black people belong to. And Joe W, once again, is an example of that. Enhanced utility is an example of that. As a matter of fact, like I said, I'm in New York, where there's a large populace of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, right? And most of them are so-called black people. Listen, a large percentage of people from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Colombia, Brazil, especially Brazil, Panama, Honduras. In those places, most of the people are either so-called black people or quote unquote mixed with black. So to separate Latinos from black people, when a large percentage of Latinos are black, is to me absurd. Exactly. Yes. Yes, Ayo, that is correct. Brazil has the largest so-called black population outside of the continent of Africa. As a matter of fact, during the transatlantic slave trade, the overall majority of slaves ended up in Brazil, which is why which is one of the main reasons why Brazil has the largest so-called black population outside of the continent of Africa. Yeah, that's right. Enhanced utility. It's been open competition of dating and mating since 1967. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You even have Afro Mexicans. Yeah, like a quarter of the people in Mexico are so-called black people. but that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, it's like Kevin Samuel. Oh, excuse me, Perfume. I don't have enough respect for him to say his name. I'll say Mr. Perfume. He's telling so-called black females that Hispanic females are their biggest enemies, and they're in competition with them for so-called black males. But once again, I would like to see, where is the evidence for that? Where's the evidence for that? And please, I don't want nobody to sit there and tell me or show me pictures of black males holding hands with a quote unquote Latina female and saying that it's proof that Latina females are in competition with black females, even though a large percentage of Latinas are black. But no. What it is that in a lot of places in America, people who are considered Latino people, a lot of them are within the same proximity as people who are considered ADOS, FBA, or even Afro-Caribbean blacks. Thus, it increases the chances of them dating and mating with each other. That's really what it is, man. Yeah, so-called black people in Honduras. Yeah, I think that's where Dr. Sebi is from. Dr. Sebi, rest in power to him. He's a so-called Afro-Latino from Honduras. Yeah, Afro-Europeans exist too. Case in point, Jessica X. Case in point, the Antisocial Socialite podcast. Case in point, what's that actor's name? What's that motherfucking actor's name? Idris Elba. Afro-Europeans. Idris Elba. They're Afro-Europeans. Technically speaking, they're Afro-Europeans. You know, I mean, a lot, even though a large portion of so-called black people that either from or live in Europe are either immigrants or descendants of immigrants from other countries, but technically speaking, if you're a so-called black person born in Europe, you're considered an Afro-European, technically speaking. You know, what's going on, Handsome to God? Handsome to God says, "What's up, brother? Yup, we pretty much live in the same communities. Whenever groups of people live with and interact with each other regularly, they will get together. Just give it time." Exactly. Yes, exactly. Boris Kojo is Afro-German. And like that basketball player that now plays for the Boston Celtics, Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is so-called Afro-German. Yeah. Yeah. You have a very large so-called black population in Germany. Oh, okay. Oh, in the South, they tend to be a little bit more segregated in the South, all right? He says you tend to see blacks and Latinos identify more so in the North than down South. Here in the South, where I live at now, where either you're black or white, and anything Latino is Mexican. Okay. Mhm. I mean, I posted the link to the panel if anyone is interested in coming on and speaking. You know, and instead of, okay, and my thing is this: I will be the first one to agree with a large portion of the manosphere or the black manosphere when it comes to the bad behavior of a large portion of so-called black females. I'll be the first one to agree. Right? But instead of telling so-called black females that their enemy is this other so-called group of females, quote unquote, it's best that you advise so-called black females that their biggest enemies is themselves and their bad attitudes. That's really the biggest enemies of a lot of so-called black females. Their bad attitudes and their social engineering. That's their biggest enemies, because the social engineering of a lot of black females is what is preventing them from finding true love. The social engineering of so-called black females is what put a lot of black females in the position to fail when it comes to having healthy marriages and relationships. It's their upbringing, their social engineering. That's the enemy of so-called black females, their attitudes, their perception, their views on so-called black males. That's their enemy. It's not another group of people. Their enemy is their upbringing, their conditioning, their social engineering, their attitudes, and their environment that engineered them to think a certain way that prevents them to becoming somebody's wife. That's the enemy to so-called black females. but you know, but then again, onto some deeper shit. It's like in the so-called black manosphere, we're more focused on that than we are on accomplishing bigger and better things. Well, pure butterfly spirit, males in America have been socially engineered also, but not the same exact way. I'll be the first to agree that males been socially engineered, but that's not the topic of discussion. The topic of discussion is whether or not Latinas are the enemies of so-called black females, and that's why I mentioned the social engineering. That's why I mentioned the social engineering. Basically, what I mean is that social engineering is the main enemy of black females. So me saying that doesn't mean that I'm denying that other groups of people have been socially engineered too. You know, y'all gotta have better comprehension skills. Because when I say something specifically regards to a topic. So if the topic is about a certain concentration of people, almost everything that I'm going to say is in regards to that certain concentration of people. Now, does that mean that I'm negating that other groups may fit the description of what I'm saying? No, I'm not. It's just that right now, currently, if I'm speaking about a certain demographic of people, then it's fair for me to make every point in reference to that certain demographic. So when you come out with these, well, other people are like this too argument, come on, you gotta come on, focus now. No disrespect to you, pure butterfly, but I just can't stand that, you know, that type of thing where people want to bring up, well, other people fit the description too. I'm like, I know that, but I'm not talking about other people right now. You know, it's just like, let's say, for example, when you have a bunch of brothers speak about how they can't stand seeing black females wearing weave, and somebody turn around and say, well, white women do it too. It's like, no shit, Sherlock, but we're not talking about Caucasian females wearing weave. We're talking about specifically so-called black females wearing weave and how we as black males think about it. So does that negate the fact that other races of females wear weave? No. And does that negate that other groups of females wearing weave look stupid also? No, it don't. But if we're talking about a specific demographic of people, then our statements should stay in regards to that specific group of people. Why? Because that specific group of people is the topic of conversations, not other people. Oh, no one's coming on the panel. Sexy Red said she'll be in the panel in 20 minutes. And plus another thing, I can't stand when adult males in the so-called black manosphere put a lot of focus in celebrity relationships and celebrity marriages. Okay, so we hear this news that Megan Good, actress Megan Good, and oh my, I had a big old crush on her in the early 2000s, right? The early to mid 2000s, I had a big old crush on her. What's going on, Complex Design? But okay, it's been known that she's going to have a divorce from her husband of 9 years, which is a Christian pastor named Devon Franklin, right? And I can't believe that has been the topic of a big topic of conversation in the space. I mean, what does that have to do? What the fuck does that have to do with the elevation of black males in society? You know what I'm saying? What do two people having a divorce have to do with elevating the black male collectives in society? And people in the manosphere using the divorce of two famous individuals as proof of how the entire black female collective are failing in relationships and all this other dumbass shit. I'm like, you see black women, you're not good as wives because Megan Good is getting a divorce. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Toya? What's up? What's up, Toya? You know what I'm saying? It's that stupid ass logic and shit. This thing about the Latinas are coming has been a talking point for a while. I think about 50 to 60% of black men who date out are with white women or Caucasian females. Okay. Wow. Yeah, the Latinas are coming. It's a scare tactic. What I believe Mr. Perfume was doing when he stated that bullshit was to try to give a scare tactic to so-called black females. He was trying to scare them, saying the Latinas are coming. But in America, as far as in the United States of America, the majority of so-called black males who are marries within their racial group. And likewise, when it comes to the majority of married black females. So it's like, I would like to know, where's this evidence that these Latina females, who once again, a lot of Latinas are black. I want to know, how are they a threat to so-called black females, or they're competing with black females for black males. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to say this, though. I'm gonna say this. This might sound contrary, right? But this is what I believe when it comes to black females and dating. This is what I believe when it comes to black females. It's like a lot of black females are not even okay. I know Complex Design and Pure Butterfly Spirit is backstage. I'm going to bring both of you on the panel after I state this. All right. So y'all be patient. You know, Complex Design and Pure Butterfly, be patient. You guys will come on the panel after I make this point. All right. What you see with a lot of so-called black females in dating, it's like a basketball game where the deficit is 40 points. It's like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and the team's up by 45 points. It's like I don't even think that a lot of so-called black females. This may sound like a contradiction to my earlier points, and it probably is, but oh well. But I don't think a lot of so-called black females are even bothered to compete in the dating world. I think what a lot of them do, I don't know, they don't even compete. It's because the way I look at it, right? I look at a competition as two people or two teams fighting real hard to accomplish a certain goal. I don't think a lot of so-called black females are fighting hard in order to gain the love and favor of a lot of black males. And once again, this may come across as a contradiction to my earlier points, and it probably is, but nonetheless, it's true. I think it's one of those, I don't think they're competing. So to say that Hispanic females or Latina females is competing against black females for black males is false due to that reason that I just gave and other reasons. I don't think a lot of so-called black females are competing. A lot of so-called black females, especially in the inner city, a lot of them have this thinking where all they need is a wet ass in order to attract a mate. Therefore, a lot of them are not doing the necessary things to actually hold on to a quality mate long term. They think all they need to do is bend over and they'll get a man like that. That's my belief. But okay, so I'll bring Complex and Pure Butterfly on the panel. What's going on, y'all? What's up?
Hey, Wacky, how is everybody?
Chilling.
Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Oh,
What's poppin'?
hey, Pure Butterfly. Yeah, I got a little bit of panel anxiety going on right now, man. I haven't been on one in a while.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing. That means you're
That's a
busy.
joke. It's a good thing and a joke.
Yeah, I know it's a joke. Yeah, I know. But nonetheless, it's a good thing. Yeah. What's up with y'all?
Well, I know that you kind of got upset with me saying that men are socially engineered in America too, but that's the facts. Like it, yeah, I get the whole thing about, well, such and such wears hair weave too, that kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, every single person in America at this very point is socially engineered to interact, to do different things, work, religion, what have you, is all socially engineered in America. This is not originally how, a lot of people's ancestors were meant to be or do.
Oh,
So to just pick off Black women as if what they're doing is something that's so out of the ordinary is what I'm trying to get at, to try to show people like, no, it's not. This is everybody. Like just to go at Black women and
30
say,
seconds,
okay,
Pure. 30 seconds.
okay, to say they're the problem. No, everybody in America is the problem. Doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter your gender. We all have stuff that's going on because of the way the structure is.
All right, Pure. One, I was not upset at your statement. So
Okay.
for you to assume that I was upset, no, I was not upset. Two, I actually agreed with you. If you
Yeah.
go back in the playback, I agreed with you, and I said the same statement. I said everybody in America has been socially engineered, but the
Hmm.
thing is that that's okay. The thing is that the topic of discussion was about so-called black females, and the only reason why I spoke about social engineering in black females was in reference to counter the point of Latina females being the enemies of black females. I just said
Hmm.
that no, other groups of females are not black females' biggest enemy. The black females' biggest enemy is their social engineering. That's the only reason why I brought that up. And
Hmm.
I told you is that you miscomprehended what I was saying. Because just because I
Hmm.
brought up the social engineering of black females does not mean that I'm negating the social engineering of other demographics. Once again, I
Hmm.
just brought up the social engineering of black females as it relates to the topic of discussion. So if I'm speaking specifically upon black females, there's no reason why to bring up males because males have nothing to do with the topic. That's all I was explaining. I wasn't upset.
No, no, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying because it does seem like they this, especially on social media, it makes black women feel like they need to band together, and especially it depend and depending on skin tone or whatever, that they have to band together in certain groups, and that's how they have to protect each other, right? When it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. And how you're saying that Latina women are not the enemy, and that's true. They're not the enemy, and nobody is really the enemy per se. But when you have that social engineering factor that is coming in, that has been doing really horrible things, making the self-esteem and different aspects of being a black woman something bad, of course they're going to stick together and they're going to do this thing. They feel like they need to. And so when you have people,
You got
pitting.
30 seconds of pure, and afterwards complex will speak. Sorry,
Okay.
because I didn't hear a lot of it because I had a phone call, but you have 30
Okay.
seconds.
Okay, and so that because of that, they do pit themselves together because it's a protection mechanism. And unfortunately, yeah, society does pit other races of people against black women, and that's a fact. So they feel like they have to do that too when they don't.
Give some examples of how society is pitting other groups of females against black females. Give some examples.
I mean, when it comes to look, now it's changing, but back when I was growing up, like in my teens and what have you, you didn't see a lot of dark-skinned black women in natural hair on Vogue magazine and things like that. Like those are kind of things that is where you see progressively different races of women going on Vogue magazine, but you really didn't see black women in dark skin with their natural state of hair and everything, their natural state on Vogue magazine. Now it's starting to change, but these are the kind of social engineering things that we speak of that have
But pure, hold,
caused.
hold, hold on, pure. I don't think you're answering my question. I'm saying how. Give some examples of how
That
society
was
is
that
pitting.
was one example of
How is that?
how,
How is that an example? How is
because
that?
it's
How's that pitting? How's that pitting other groups against black females? When you say other groups is going against black females, you're saying that other groups are basically doing something that's to the detriment of black females. How is
well,
that?
when
How
you
is society doing that?
when the black females can't see themselves in the social mechanism of the country or the world, then yeah, that's pitting them against other people, or them being pitted against other people because they're not there in the demographic. They're not being shown. Back then they weren't being shown. Yes, now it's changing, but that's an example of how it's
Okay.
been.
Wouldn't that be the establishment going against black females, not other people going
Exactly.
against? Okay, but that's not other people. That's the
But
establishment.
let me
Okay,
let me
well,
but
other
let me just
hold on,
say
hold
this.
on, hold on, hold on for a minute, pure. Hold on for a minute, pure, because complex been patiently waiting. But okay,
Yeah.
it's different. There's a difference by saying that other people are being pitted against black females or the establishment. Other people,
Okay, but
based
can I
on
point
hold
one
on, pure,
thing out?
hold on, pure. Like when you say other people, it comes across at you as you saying, or like many different races of people who are not
Yes.
members. No, hold on, Pure. Who are not members of the establishment are going against black females. There's a difference between the establishment, which is an upper echelon of people in the position of power, and every other race of people that's not in that upper echelon of power.
Let me
So
just
I see the
make
people
one little point.
in the
Let
upper
me,
echelon of power going against black females, but
okay,
I
but
don't
let me
see
make
all the
one
other
point with
races
that.
of people. Go ahead.
So we already know that the status quo, where people, when they see something happening or some place of power doing something, then you have a bunch of following people that agree with that point of view, which is exactly what that type of establishment has done. It makes other groups of people feel, yeah, why, like when it was blonde hair, blue eyed on Vogue magazine, everybody wanted to be blonde hair, blue eyed. And that was you looked up to that kind of, that kind of look and things like that. This is what I'm saying, is that it's this grouping of saying this and this and this is better than that and that and that.
Okay,
And then you have different races of people agreeing with that. That's why you have Asian women thinking white men are they are the get all be all.
Hold on, but
They'll take a white man over their own race of man.
Hold on, Pure. Hold on. I gotta mute you for a minute. Hold on for a minute. I gotta mute you for a minute. Okay. Once again, you're giving a theory, but you haven't gave a realistic example of how other races of people are being pitted against black females. You gave an example of a magazine and stuff like that, but that's not proof of other races of people, realistic proof of other races of people just being pitted against black females. I want a realistic example of how other groups of people have been pitting against black females.
I'll tell you, because I can give you personal examples, because I've worked with every race of people.
No anecdotes.
So I've worked,
no anecdotes. Actual fact. No anecdotes.
I gave you an actual like perception of the engineering that you were talking about, and then you just disregarded it. So now I'm going to an actual personal.
The reason why I disregarded this is because it's not an actual example of other races of people pitting against black people.
They do that though.
No, that's not an example of other races of people pitting against black people. That's an example of the establishment not accepting the beauty standards of black females. Okay, that's not an example.
I don't know how you don't understand. I don't know how you don't understand this, because it's the same thing with religion.
It's not that I don't understand it. It's that it's not an actual evidence of what I.
It is evidence. I'll give you another example why what I'm talking about is what I'm talking about.
It's the example of the establishment disregarding the physical features of black females.
I'll give you an example of how that works. So just like religion, you have different religions in the world. You have Muslim, Islam, you have Buddhist, you have whatever, but Christianity took over. So because Christianity took over, if you were of another religion, you had other people being pitted against each other because you had to be a Christian in certain areas of the world, or either you would be put to death or what have you. That's the same example I'm giving you, is that when you put something as the God, which is basically what they did in advertisements and everything else in America, a certain racial standard as being the God, that means that anything that is the total opposite of that God, by looks, by texture, by feel, by sound, that means everybody else is being pitted against that complete opposite. Do you understand? It's just like religion.
That's an assumption. That's an assumption. How are they going against that? Okay, I've heard women talk about. I'm speaking. Now I got to mute you again. I'm speaking. Okay. Once again, that is an assumption. You're assuming that, okay, if a certain media corporation put this blonde hair, blue eyed female as a standard of beauty, that is going to get other races of people to view that as a standard of beauty, thus automatically going against the physical features of black females. But I'm saying, how is that? Put that two together. Like what is these media, the people within the media doing to tell other races of people to go against this black female?
They're not per se saying go against it, but when you don't include, this is called the inclusionary exclusionary type of vibe that was put out. So yeah, they're not physically saying in words in black and white on the screen anti black dark skinned women with natural hair, but plus blonde haired straight blonde haired blue eyed light skinned women. They're not saying anti that, but they're showing anti that. It's like a subliminal messaging.
But isn't showing something and saying something?
Okay, I don't know how more ABC, like just basic I can make that. Like, come on, it's a subliminal message when you do that, when you show the opposite of what somebody else is, and when you're not including them as being a certain type of okay, personally, I feel like there's many standards of beauty. There's not one standard of beauty. But when you have that social engineering pointing out that ... is the only standard of beauty, that means anything that's opposite of that standard of beauty is an anti. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So okay, so how is that going
so
against,
when you have
hold on,
an anti,
how is that going against black females? Because someone can say, I don't find that to be attractive. That doesn't mean I'm against you. It's just that's my personal preference. I don't find that attractive. Like, for example, I don't find people that dye their hair red attractive. Am I being pitted against people that dye their hair red? No.
Are you in control? Are you in control of putting advertisements out for masses of people, of millions of people? Are you doing that? No. So you wouldn't have that type of influence. But yes, when you have that type of social engineering where people do have the power to put out advertisement like that to millions and millions of people, yes, it's giving a subliminal.
But is it giving a subliminal to just find a certain look attractive, or is it giving a subliminal to just go and fight against another group of people? I just see that. I don't see that as being pitted up against. I see that as media corporations putting a certain phenotype as what is considered to be attractive. That's it. But just because, okay, let's just say other groups of people find.
I'm just trying to show you how this can start rolling.
No, I see where you're going. You think I don't understand? I understand. I just don't agree that that's an example of pitting people against black females. I see that as an example of finding a certain phenotype.
I can give you another example. I can give you another example.
Well, hold on, Pure. Once again, I see that as an example of people finding a certain phenotype attractive. But just because one find a certain phenotype attractive does not mean that you're totally against the other phenotype that you may not find to be attractive. What you're talking about is judging the perception of what people find there's a word I'm looking for. The media dictating the perception of what people find to be attractive and unattractive. But once again, just because someone finds a certain phenotype unattractive doesn't necessarily mean that they're going against that person. So that's what I'm saying. That's not a good example in my eyes. But a complex. Hold on, Pure. Let Complex speak, because Complex been patiently quiet. So go ahead, Complex.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes,
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just getting back on Wi-Fi. I was just listening. I just ran a quick errand. And so
I can't hear you. You're borging. I can't hear you.
Hold on. I think I need to jump on Wi-Fi. Hold on a second. I'm walking into my garage right now. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, now you sound good.
I sound fine. Okay. All right. I'm on Wi-Fi. Okay. Let's simplify it. Because everything I was kind of listening to, the exchange and everything, when I reduce it all down, it sounds like what we're really talking about here is attention. That's kind of what, like, the theme of what I'm hearing as far as the exchange between you, O, and Pure Butterfly is. This is really just about attention. Okay. One way we can illustrate this in terms of beauty standards, social perception, and all of these things. Here's like a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Black men as a group can tell sisters, we don't like weaves. We don't like fake eyelashes. We don't like this. We don't like that. That doesn't matter. It's not your, it's attention and it's not yours. See, they don't like, if we express what we think the beauty standard for the women who reflect us is, and they shun that, right? And then point to social media, and they point to this ubiquitous enemy, right? You can't see what the thing about like social media, blaming social constructs and all that. You can't really pinpoint something exactly. It's like a catch-all concept that you could just point to and say, yes, that's the issue, right? It's never like, okay, do we ever take any responsibility for how we respond to it? You know, as a black male, I've had social media, social constructs. I've had everything fucking thrown at me, right? And pretty much anytime I get on a panel or anything, people question whether I'm black. That's how much I run against the motherfucking narrative.
30 seconds, complex.
No, okay. So yeah, I really think that this is largely about, it's about attention, and it's about being viewed as the preferred in the eyes of society. And that's just my take on it. That's how I see all this shit.
Yeah, and the thing is that complex, that's true. That's a good point. And like I said, I don't think that someone not being given attention means that society is going against that person.
Not at all.
An example of other races, in my eyes, going against society is I'm sorry. I'm all over the place, man. Okay. In my eyes, an example of other races of people being pitted against one race is an example like for example, preventing someone from getting a certain position or physically assaulting people, like what you saw during the Jim Crow South and what you still see today. Like pitting against someone either on an economic level, on a political level, on a physical level, something like that. But when you put it, but Pure's example, no disrespect to Pure, is that I don't think that's a good example.
Well, no, let's flip the mirror.
People being pitted against black females.
Well, no, let's flip the mirror on this, right? Let's flip the mirror on that and let's see if it checks out. All right. So let's see. If there's a commercial on television, and let's just say it's for like Charles Schwab or some shit, and like the guy who's sitting at his desk and doing like reading his stock chart is a white guy. Should I take that as a slight that they didn't use a black dude?
I don't think so.
That wasn't the point I was making, though.
No, that's what I said. If we flip the example, and we flip the example and what you're talking about, and let's apply it to a black man. Let's see if it checks out. So based on what you're saying, I should take it as a slight every time I see like a financial services commercial on television, and it's always some white guy with glasses instead of like a dude black dude with glasses. Am I getting this right?
No.
Okay, so
my point wasn't about what's happening now, because things are changing. You have different demographics of people: Asian, Black, Hispanic, Native American Indian. You have Indians from India. You have a bunch of different people that are now being, their faces are being put into the media. So things are changing. So, but I'm talking about when things weren't like that, and this is how this all it basically snowballs into what we see now. That was my point.
I can't go back to the original example that I gave.
Hold on, Pure. Hold on, complex. Hold on, Pure.
Yeah.
Are you done making your statement, Pure? Are you done? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. My bad, complex. Go ahead.
Okay. So go back to the original point that I made. about the attention, because that's, like I said, this literally, if we apply Occam's razor to this whole scenario, because I like to cut right to the bone. I hate fluff. This is about attention. Prove me wrong.
I mean, I'm not going to say you're not. I'm not going to say you're not wrong because of attention.
So then let's
hold on. Let Peel finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let Peel finish. Go ahead, Peel.
So when he was talking about why are Black women pitting Latino women against, or they're against Black Latino women, well, this all stems from the core thing of trying to be self-preserving, or even if you're talking about attention, getting attention. How many men on here have said, I'm going to Latin America to find my wife because you Black women in America aren't good enough? Those are the kind of things that pit Black women against Native American women, against indigenous, against Latin American women, against Asian women, against other different races of women, because you got men on here saying you just aren't good enough, lady. You just aren't good enough. You're American and you're Black. You're not good enough. That's the kind of stuff. If we're talking about attention, then of course those are going to be some of the factors that cause that to happen.
Can we flip the mirror on that?
Hold on, complex.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Let me say something. Okay, but you're saying that, okay, I'm going to take that example that Pew just used, that a so-called Black male in the Black manosphere say, I'm going to go to Dominican Republic or Brazil and find me a woman over there because you Black women in America, you're no good. So that logic is going to pit other races of female against Black women, or Black women against other races of female.
Yes.
But isn't it? But okay. Let's just say this. Who makes the choice as a result of that one guy saying that? Who makes the choice of pitting themselves against somebody just because some dude on the internet say he's going to Latin America?
Well, I'm not saying it's right, because I mean, personally, I've heard so many derogatory things towards me. I don't care about it. I don't take it offensive.
I got me. Hold on, Pew. You're not answering my question. I'm like, who makes the decision to pit themselves against another group of people as a result of that Black male on YouTube saying he's going to Latin America?
Okay, so I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you that's where it's at. Because personally, let me just say that
you still haven't answered my question, Pew.
It's first of all, it's you have to be self-aware, period. Before you're group aware, you need to be self-aware. You need to be secure with yourself to know that it doesn't matter what another person says or what they're doing. That if you're not going to choose that person as a mate, come on, anybody that says that's not going to be a person you're going to want to choose as your mate. If they're feeling you're not good enough for them anyways, and you know that you are, you're not going to choose somebody like that. Point blank. That's self-awareness.
Pew, once again, Pew, you didn't answer my question, but go ahead, Complex. And afterwards, the King of Lies.
Yeah, I'm going to just say this, and I'm going to mute up for a sec because I'm going to handle something real quick. So let's flip the mirror on that once again. I hear oftentimes, a lot of sisters basically compare Black men to every other group of men out here, right? And what I constantly get bombarded with as a Black man is that I consistently come up short in society and compared to other groups of men, and this comes from the Black women. So I'm saying that, like, sometimes, like, I think sisters sometimes need to be a little more self-aware about how they see all of this stuff. I'm like, dude, a lot of this is self-created. Okay, because for the very thing that you're saying that men do, women, like I said, flip the mirror up on this. You do the same thing. See, so what you'll do is you'll sort of minimalize Black men, right? And it's projected out in society. People hear this stuff, right? There's all these channels out there that say, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a widowed single father, right? What I'm being told out here, what's being projected out here, right? I'm being subjected to the very thing that you're talking about. So I'm just saying, like, it sometimes, like, when I hear this kind of stuff, I'm like, can we hold the mirror up here for a second? Can we be a little self-reflective? You don't see how you actually have a hand in this?
So complex. Let me before I give it to King of Lions.
Go ahead.
Are you done? Are you done with your statement? I want to.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Complex. Right?
What's up?
Let's say hypothetically speaking, I'm a black woman. Hypothetically speaking.
Okay, hypothetical.
Right?
Hypothetical, y'all.
Complex. I say, why? You a dusty beta male coon. You a dusty beta male coon. You know, white man got more power than you. You ain't got no power at all as a black man. You keep going to jail. You a thug. You keep sagging your pants down your ass. You got all these kids out of wedlock. You got all these baby mamas. You ain't got no power. The white man is better than you. The black man, excuse me, the Asian man is better than you. And the Mexican man got more power than you. He can't even speak no English. You a dusty beta male coon. Complex.
Okay.
Right, so let's say those words got you to go against every Caucasian guy you see, every Mexican and Asian guy you see. At the end of the day, who made that decision to allow my words to put you against these other races of men?
Dude, me.
Thank you.
And first of all, and here's the thing, and just let me just elaborate on that just a little bit further. First of all, dude, I take that type of shit with a grain of salt, man.
Me too.
I'm the CTO of my own fucking tech company, okay? And I have partners that are white and Asian and all that, right? We all work together. Like, I'd be like, dude, you're delusional. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's where I drop it right there.
All right, so let King of Lions King of Lions 45 speak. You've been patiently waiting. Thank you for being patiently waiting. Thank you for being patient, King of Lions. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I just been busy, but yeah, I just been waiting. I have a lot of patience. That's why. Okay. So I heard y'all was talking about the whole women's scenario with men, of course. About race when it comes to other races. Exactly. I mean, I can see on both sides that the women ain't right, the man ain't right, but it's like how you compare yourself to the other race. You're sitting there complaining about the man. It's like you're both doing the exact same thing. Do you not notice that? I mean, it's on both sides. I ain't saying one. I'm saying on both. So either side don't look good either way. From our race on both ends. So what's the point of complaining about it? I mean, heck, if you want to hook up that person, hook up with that person, but don't sit there and make a big deal over it. Like, oh, this race is better. This race of guy is better. Oh, this race of woman is better. Like, you're not achieving that. You know that, right? You make yourself look even worse than what you are now. And that's not a good look. Just saying. Mic drop.
Yeah. Okay, so what's up, Sexy Red? Sexy Red. You need to what do you mean, but that's not the topic? Well, because what Pure did is what Pure did earlier is because when I mentioned, once again, social engineering being the primary enemy of black females, not other group of females, she responded by saying, well, men in America have been socially engineered also. And I said, and I agree with that, but I said that's not the topic of discussion. Social engineering of males, which is realistic, is not the topic of discussion when I'm speaking about social engineering being the primary enemy of black females. That's why I told Pure Butterfly that's sort of off topic. But what we did here when Pure Butterfly gave the example of a magazine company or a media company holding Eurocentric stands as a standard of beauty, thus causing other races to pit against black females, I was trying to get to a question where, if someone is getting a certain type of attention and that's causing division amongst the populace, at the end of the day, who's responsible to make that decision to divide themselves amongst other people within the populace?
I mean,
I don't think that's off topic. I don't think that's off topic.
We all have self accountability. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but you're asking where it's coming from, and I'm telling you, this is part of it. This is a fraction of the pie of where it's coming from, where you see this division. That's what I'm trying to get at. Are we all supposed to be accountable for ourselves? Yes. We make our own decisions. I make a decision to not fall into that racial garbage. I don't.
No, I say give an example, but and I mean, I'm not saying that people are not pitted against so-called black people. I would just want to see an example, but the example you use, I'm sorry, I don't see that as a
I gave you one little small fraction. I mean, major mainstream media has a big effect on going against black women, and yes, it does happen.
Oh, okay, that's why I said give an example, and the example you gave, I'm sorry, was not a.
But that was one example, but I didn't. I got 30 seconds to try to give you a world of problems that have been happening for centuries and centuries, and you can't sum it up in 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Oh, we did sum it up in 30 seconds.
You know what I'm saying?
We did sum it up. It was about attention.
I did want to say this exactly. Yes, the media has a big part of both genders, but still, they program both to go against each other. And
I agree. That was my main point.
Yeah, I see things on both angles. Not when I see it on both.
And Pure, please don't come with these smart comments, because when I say 30 seconds, I only say that to people who speaking for a pretty long time and that they only have 30 seconds remaining. I never said they have 30 seconds in totality to make a point.
I'm just saying.
I mean, but if it like I said, if what we could do is reduce it, man, we can get right to it, and that's why I'm like, okay, why all the fluff? This is about attention.
I mean, I'm not for, for one, I don't even ever racially identify. That is not I never do. Never. That is to me, that is a detriment to every race of people in America, is to sit and say, oh, well, I'm this, just based on your skin tone. Well, what about your character? What type of character do you have? Negate all the racial shit. What is your character? What type of person are you? How do you handle yourself amongst other people? How are you? Are you a good person? If you see somebody that's down and out, do you walk past them, spit on them, or whatever you do? What kind of person are you? That's where I'm at.
I agree. That's how I am. That's how I roll.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to say something. When you say America, exactly, did you know America is connected to Mystery Babylon? Did you know that?
Every civilization is right now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, when you say America, when you say America, you're actually saying Mystery Babylon. Literally, that's what a lot of people don't know, but I know.
Yeah, but that's a different topic. I mean,
that's a big time different topic.
That's a different topic.
That's
a different topic. I mean, yeah, I mean, people who are biblically sound, they connect America with Mystery Babylon according to the Book of Revelations, but that's a different topic,
Yes.
Ezekiel, Revelation, all those talks about Babylon being banded, and then for a certain amount of years and stuff, taking the banding off, and then the branches growing back, and the branches. It's a very symbolic type thing. It's talking about a seat in some area of the globe that has influenced every aspect of the earth right now. It doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're in China, America, South America.
Yep.
But doesn't that influence come from people?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a human equation to all this.
Yes, it is.
Right. It's not this, this, once again, and I'm not like discrediting anything you're saying. I'm just saying like how is it that like we perceive like how global events take place, right? Oftentimes what we do is we perceive that as if we as individuals literally have no hand or no part in it.
Everybody has a hand and part.
Everybody does. Like even something as simple as somebody listening in the clouds on a conversation like this, then they get motivated to go and do something, good or bad. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like the effects to make something happen can be derived from something as simple as like a conversation, for example. Okay. So this is where we go back to the social media and the social influence aspect. And I said, ultimately, what it is that this is all about attention.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that statement.
Now, I also want to say when people call themselves the black and stuff, you actually label yourself as a slave. You know that, right? Did you even know that? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when you call yourself black, you're calling yourself a slave.
Based on
by your people who put you in slave in the very, very beginning. That's what you're calling yourself. You call
based
yourself
on what evidence? Based on what evidence, King Lion Z45?
By the label, exactly, because of the slave master, exactly. So when you call yourself that, you're calling yourself by what the slave master calls you, by the media and all that stuff.
But where's your sources? But where's your sources to prove that?
YouTube and Google. I have my sources. I mean,
let me ask you a question, bro.
YouTube is not a primary source of information. But go ahead, Complex.
I was going to ask him a question. I mean, do you, like, when you go about, you set about in the world, right?
Yes.
I mean, do you interface with the world based on these concepts?
No, I don't go by what the world says, because I call myself by my ancestors, exactly. I don't go by that logic. I understand, like, a lot of people call themselves.
No, like perfect examples. Like you go into a store, right?
Hold on, let him finish. Let King Lion finish, right. And then afterwards, go ahead, King Lion.
Yeah, I don't call myself those names because when you call yourself that, you're calling yourself a slave, exactly, because your slave masters called you that, because you don't know who you're real. You don't even know who you are by your identity, who you truly are. That's why I go by my ancestors. That's why I call myself an Israelite for a reason. Because go
ahead, Complex. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, so for example, if you go to a store and somebody refers to a color and they call it black or something, do you take it upon yourself to like educate them on the origin of the word?
I can.
No, I mean, do you?
I mean, I can say, like, if they say black, I'm gonna say, well, my phone's black, or my shirt's black, or this car is black.
Well, that's what I mean. Do you do that?
I mean, a lot of times I don't, but I can if I want to.
Why not? Why don't you do it?
Because if I do that, then people be asking me a whole lot of questions if I did.
Yeah, kind of like how I'm asking you questions right now.
I'm told like out there, like in the real world, if I start doing that.
That's why I'm asking, man.
Yeah.
Think about what you just said. You said like out there in the real world. Where are you now?
Oh, I'm in my apartment.
No, dude.
I got it. Can I say something? Because I think that him saying that being or black is something negative, when the fact is that way back in history, even through the beginning of Genesis of the Bible, there were tribes of people who literally were black. And there was no negativity to that connotation. So just because it's just like Hitler using the swastika. The swastika originally was a very indigenous type of symbol, but he turned it into something very negative. So when somebody turns something into negative, are you not supposed to use it because they turned it into something negative? Because black initially is not negative. Being black is not negative, because there actually were black people.
Yeah, I just see it differently.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Yeah.
But let me say this, but let me to King of Lions Z45 point, right? Like our ancestors never really called themselves black. The term black was a label given to our people by other people.
Exactly.
So that's really where I agree with King of Lions Z45 at. Whether or not you believe that the term black is negative or not, but it was a term or a byword given to us from other people. Go ahead, Pure.
Not always. You're only taking a portion of history and using that portion of history when there was thousands of years before that portion of history. So
that's what I was talking about.
The Akkadians were black. Were they negative? They weren't negative.
Pure. But did the Akkadians call themselves black?
Yes, they called themselves black.
Okay. Where's the proof?
They were one of the first civilizations that produced a written language.
But
they were some of the most educated people ever.
So Pure.
That actually have still that that writing still to this day.
If they refer to themselves as black people, can you provide some evidence?
I mean, it's in the Bible. You read the Bible, go back into Genesis and read about it.
Okay. Give me a Bible scripture where the Acadians called.
I mean, I have to get. I don't even have my Bible with me, but it's in Genesis. It talks about the Acadians. The Acadians they have written is ACT and it's AKK.
Pure. I asked you a question. Did the Bible state that the Acadians called themselves black people?
The Bible specifically, no, but when you do the history check and you do the ancient philosophies, the ancient writings and stuff, yes, they call themselves black.
Okay, provide the evidence.
Well, I have to pull it up. It's going to take a minute.
Pull it up. Okay.
I can't do it right this second. No, I can't do it right this second. I'll give it to you later. It's a whole thing of pulling a whole lot of information together.
Oh, okay. So if you're going to state something as a fact, you have a responsibility to provide evidence. But let me say, in history, okay.
I haven't seen anybody on this panel providing evidence, but all of a sudden I've got to provide evidence. Yeah, but it's going to take a minute.
Hold on. I asked King of Lions E45 provide evidence. He didn't even provide evidence. So you're not the only one that I challenged to provide evidence. I
haven't said anything that needed for me to provide any evidence for.
Exactly.
So let me just say this. Even in Egypt,
hold on, Pure. But what I'm trying to say, Pure Butterfly, is that even if we're going to go to the BC era, the people that lived even the times before Christ, who we now consider to be so-called black people, there's no evidence of them calling themselves black people because during like historical times before Christ.
They give reference. They give reference.
Hold on, Pure. I gotta mute you, Pure. You interrupt me. Even in the BC times, people refer to themselves according to the names of their tribes or ethnic group, which is tied to the name of their land. So go ahead, Pure.
So I'll reference back to Egypt because there were different people and they named these different people based on the soil color that they came from. So there were some that looked like a beigey clay. There were some that were red dirt or red clay. So you have different colors of soil. So in when you're talking about being based on those type of things, and that is definitely something you can refer back to even in the Bible when it talks about clay colors and things like that and people being of clay, of the color of the land. There is soil that is black soil. There is soil that is a lighter hue of soil that is like a beige or a bone color or whatever. And you have different colors, red clay. So they were referred back to those colors of people.
But they were not called black people, especially in biblical times. In biblical times, nobody was considered as so.
Nobody
as
was
black.
called black
nobody
because
was
the language of black is not.
I gotta mute you again, Pure. You keep interrupting me. Once again, my point is Z-Line's 45 point. Well, I'm not gonna go as far as to say when you call yourself black, calling yourself a slave. I'm not going. But what I'm trying to say is that even in biblical times, although a lot of people during the biblical times in today's time were considered as black people, but in biblical times, nobody considered themselves to be black people. People consider themselves, once again, according to the names of their ethnic groups. Philistines, Israelites, 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 Japhites, things like that.
Quick question. This is just
King of Lions. Go ahead.
I was looking in the comments. I think there was something somebody may have wanted you to address. They said we're not reading the chat comments or something. So there might have been something somebody wanted addressed, but we didn't address the chat.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, nobody was called black back then because this is a relatively new word that wasn't used in their language. So yeah, they probably were called black, but they definitely refer back to a soil.
I think
that was my point. That was my point. But go ahead, King of Lions Z45. That was my point, and that was partially King of Lions' point. But once again, I'm not gonna go as far as that. If you call yourself black, go ahead, King.
I don't call myself that. I call myself an Israelite. That's what I call myself. I don't go by what America goes by or any of that. None of it. Not anything I was taught that was a lie. I don't go by none of it. So I go against it. So I'm the opposite. Yep. Because when you call yourself labels, you're not make yourself stronger. You make yourself weaker by falling by with the enemy or the people who taught you that. As long as you know
being called an Israelite is being a label as well. Just want to let you know that.
Yeah, that is a label, but King Line, are you stating a label that or calling yourself or abiding by a label that was created by other groups of people, or abiding by a label that you create for yourself is weak? What are you saying?
Calling yourself black is called, by your slave names, and then the systems taught you and on the side. That's right. I don't follow that logic. I'm the complete opposite. I used to follow that back then when I didn't know the truth. But since I woke up out way too much knowledge, I don't even follow those lies. Period. I go against it. And a lot of people are like, why the heck you don't call yourself? Because there's a reason. So when you're not woken up to the full truth and calling yourself, when you go by your ancestors, then you're not going to grow as much wisdom. Instead, you're going to be stagnant, holding yourself back.
How so? How so?
Okay, that's interesting.
How so, King of Lions? How?
Else that because if you don't call yourself what you truly are, you're falling by what the enemies taught you and your family and friends has taught you for so many years. Because even they don't know who they are. That's the sad part about it.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that sort of position? How does that kind of fit into this fourth industrial paradigm we're moving in, right? Like kind of like self-identification, things of that sort. Kind of like in this new sort of technocratic age that we're moving into. I'm just trying. That's why I asked you the earlier question about when you go out into the quote unquote real world, because I guess this is not reflective of that. I try to be the same person that I am in the real world is the person that you're getting right now, right? See, so I don't really see much of a difference. I just see that in the real world because I'm standing in my garage, right? But I'm using just a technological interface, so I don't really see much of a separation or a distinction between the real world and this digital venue that I'm using right now, right? Yeah, so how do you? I'm just curious about that, right? Because in my head, I don't think that Black folks as an aggregate are truly prepared for the future, right? And I think oftentimes what happens here is that we keep leaning on past concepts, right, that have shown to not be up to date with how society is moving because technology is largely driving it. Hence, when I go back to the original point I was talking about, I was like, well, we've got this whole social media thing, and it's more of an attention grab through a digital interface that's going on here.
Yeah.
Right. Humans aren't as cognitive of their use and interfacing with this digital technology, right? Because every input, even the shit we're talking about right now, triggers some algorithm or a whole stack of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes I'm kind of like, okay, are we functioning with the level of intelligence that we need to be functioning in going into 2022? That's my ultimate sort of closing part of my little diatribe here.
Well, let me say something. I mean, Complex, you make an excellent point. That's a very excellent point. But I think that the two things separate each other when it comes to people having knowledge of self and knowledge of who they are, knowledge of their roots, and which is separate from having knowledge of how to survive the world today, which both are important. So I think that there's a time and place for each thing. But to your point, Complex Design, I think that a lot of people in these spaces put a great amount of detail in speaking about, the past, history, speaking about your roots, and putting less emphasis on, okay, what can we do? I guess I'm sorry for repeating the same point that you made, Complex.
No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is where I agree with you is that a lot of people put more emphasis on speaking about the past, knowledge stuff, yada yada, and less emphasis on how to survive the present time and the future. I think that there's a time and place for both, and both need like a somehow of a balance because there's too much of an imbalance of people talking about the past.
So that's boom. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I can put a perfect example how my family kept on saying I'm black, I'm this, and then coworkers I used to work with, I had to tell them like, hey, I'm not that. I follow by my ancestors, and they didn't know what I was talking about. First, so I explained them exactly. I disagree with certain people. Yep, but at the same time, they didn't understand the first time until later on. They understand more knowledge where I was coming from. Like, okay, so you're this now. You're a truther now. You expose it. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I don't celebrate nothing. So yes. So
right, I want to ask him what makes him how he identifies as a Hebrew Israelite. What are the components? Give me 10 components that make you a Hebrew Israelite.
Your father's seed, where you're from, because your father's seed is because of your ancestors. That's how. Because you go by what the world tells you, they're just dumbing you down to make you more ignorant.
I mean, if you can do 10, just shoot them off 10.
That's all I can tell you. I don't have like any more references to that because I have a friend in my group who's a Hebrew Israelite, exactly, and he knows as much as I know. And plus, I used to talk to somebody who was from an Israelite camp back then. They used to be on YouTube called Men of Valor. He know the whole lot compared to what I know. He's no longer here.
And you celebrate the Sabbath every Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, yes.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
What do you do on the Sabbath?
Rest, take care of a couple little stuff, and just rest. That's all I do because I work during the week.
Okay.
My brother's he's a Hebrew Israelite as well. I mean, I'm very familiar. I'm very familiar with the spiritual practice, and I don't look negatively upon it, right? Like I don't. I'm an avowed technocrat, right? I would say that's sort of like my social disposition, right? I'm a technocrat, so I'm looking at future trends, right? And this is kind of why I pose these type of questions, because I look at the impact of literally what it is that I do for a living and the impact that it's going to have in the future. And I would say a good 85 to 90% of conversations that I hear in social media pertaining to Black people largely doesn't even scratch the goddamn surface of what's to come. In all actuality, I'll hear a little crypto talk here and there, right? A little crypto talk. I don't hear blockchain talk. I don't hear like talk about the technology that undergirds it, but I hear crypto talk a little bit. People will all agree, hey, get your finances together, right? And start your LLC, right? Just, like I said, they scrape the shit. They scrape the surface of it, but never any deep dives, right? Like I said, once again, the more pressing issue is validation and attention seeking and a whole bunch of shit that points to me that a lot of people are dealing with a lot of immaturity. Yes. And Black folks are largely need to grow the fuck up.
Correct. Hold on, King of Lions. Hold on. See, okay. Complex, do you know why a lot of so-called Black people on social media are not paying attention to what's going on in the future?
What's up?
It's because the white man won't let you. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You have to.
There you go.
The white
there you go.
The white man is not going to allow you to be a technocrat. What are you talking about?
There you go.
Don't you know that the white man is stopping us from that?
God damn it.
Complex does not talking about he owns his own company when it comes he owns his own company and stuff like that. The white man's not going to let you do that. The white man's not going to let you worry about automation and how you could take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. No, he's not going to let you do that.
Oh boy.
And Complex, that way of thinking is what stunted the growth of so-called Black people social media and what's preventing them to focus on
real shit,
important things like the future of their economics and the future of their
real
children's
shit,
future and their children's future. Because this whole concept of the white man is not going to so-called let you do something. So that destroys a lot of
get the entire fuck out of here.
A lot of productivity or potential productivity in a lot of people on social media, because we could utilize this space and we're supposed to be utilizing.
We're supposed to be doing it
as a source of communication to exchange ideas and get people to come together to do something bigger in the real world. But
I already said, dude, come fuck with your boy if you want to do some business, some tech, fuck with your boy. But hey, women.
Yeah, women. The feminists are stopping you, and the white man stopping you.
Everybody, everything with a vagina stopping
what
you.
You guys are saying.
Yeah, go ahead, Pio.
So what I would say, out of all the fields of advanced technology or whatever you want to do when it comes to that field, out of every job that's out there in the marketplace right now, no matter whatever tradesman you are, when it comes to that, I see that his field, you have more racial connectivity with that field, minus the ego, minus the hatred and all those other aspects that you see in other avenues of society, right? So that field of work seems to be the less racist, the less the people that go into those fields don't care what race you are. They only care about getting the job done. They don't care what your culture background is. They really just want to advance that field.
Yeah.
Am I wrong for saying that?
No, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. I mean, the thing about it is that the field that I think it's actually. Do you know about JavaScript? If you go to the Black Brain Trust channel and sub to that, and then in the playlist section, look into the Black Tech Talks. There's like a repository of live streams and stuff that we did where we did like JavaScript. We did so many deep dives on so much stuff, but Sexy Red, it's all in there. I mean, JavaScript is used in IoT stuff that we're involved in. And to speak to Pure Butterfly's point, you're absolutely right, because the thing about it is that these are burgeoning sectors. This is why I kind of brought it up, right? All of this shit it's new, IoT, blockchain, and this is literally the rollout time. This is what comes out of the quote unquote Great Reset. If you've heard that term, right?
Yes.
This is the results of it, right? And so what it is that we're on the ground floor, right? This is the ground floor period for all things 4IR for the most part, fourth industrial. Yeah. So it is. It truly is. And this is the reason why Pure Butterfly, what you're saying is absolutely correct, because it's more of a global. This is okay. Globalization. Yes. Globalization. This is a digital connected paradigm. Right. So all that the white man owns, dude, throw all that bullshit out the fucking window, because it was dead as of 2020. Of it was. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
I want to say exactly, yes, I agree with y'all saying, because I know about this because I'm in the truth community at the same time. But also, we need to start teaching our kids who they truly are and not go by what we was taught because of our parents and stuff. No, teach them the actual truth. Tell them, like, hey, don't celebrate this, don't celebrate that. Like, tell them actual truth, don't tell them lies. And that's the reason why kids grow up the way they are, because the parents ain't following the correct path. They're following the wrong path, what they was taught.
I want to throw something
repeat that.
esoteric.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
But, yeah.
No, I didn't catch that last part, Lion. Can you say that again?
What I'm saying is, we need to teach our kids who they truly are. Don't teach them, oh, it's okay to celebrate this, celebrate that. Because when you sit there telling them that, you're basically lying to them. If you don't tell them the truth, then they're not going to know. And also, they're going to think it's okay to teach their kids the same thing. That's a problem right there. Because these pastors and churches are a problem too. They're a major problem. And they need to go. Because they're not helping. Instead, they're causing more destruction and problems. They need to go.
Well, go ahead, Pure Butterfly. I'll kind of reply to that later.
How does that relate to what? How does that relate to what Complex and Pure was talking about?
Yeah, I was going to reply. Yeah.
King of Lions.
Well, because I want to make that as a point, because I understand where he's coming from and she's coming from about the Great Reset, and I know about that. I'm saying that's also a bigger issue, because if the kids say we're not sitting there celebrating stuff or think it's okay to hang out gangs and all that stuff, then the stuff would be more in balance and stuff. But long stuff is off balance because of the quote unquote enemy who runs everything and lies exactly and all that stuff. We not have the issues we have in our community. I mean, you can't disagree on that.
Now, how does that, once again, how does that relate to the topic that Complex was talking about?
Well, because that's a major issue. What's going on? It's been going on for years. That's a problem.
Once again, how does that relate to the topic that Complex and Pure was talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to that point. Because the companies don't care. All they care about is making money and using you and all that stuff. That's what they care about. They're greedy. They're evil tail companies. But I get like what y'all coming from on that as well. Me, I like to go deep when I talk about this stuff. Like
once again, how does that relate to the topic that Complex?
I'm greedy as well, but go ahead.
How does that relate? Yeah, one more time. How does that relate to the topic that Complex and Pure was talking about? Or Pure and Complex?
The last statement I made, the first statement, it does not link to that, but the other statement I just did actually does. I was just like trying to, what's the word? Try to educate exactly, but I guess I should not add that in there. So my bad on my end. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I was just curious to know. I was just curious, but okay.
Because I want to explain, because if we keep teaching people, oh, it's okay to celebrate birthdays and all that stuff, you're basically lying to you're lying to your kids. You're not setting a good example. You're setting a horrible example. If you're sitting there lying to them, not telling them who they are and all that stuff, you're basically lying to them. You're not telling them the truth.
I like my celebration of birthdays.
But King of Lions, E45. I'm not saying that what you say is untrue, right? Yes. But once again, I'm asking how does that relate to the topic they was talking about? Because that's the thing, we have to stay on topic when people are talking. I know this is an open panel. Okay, I know this is an open panel, right? But when you have people that's already having a discussion about a certain thing, like if we're going to enter that conversation, we have to say our statements have to relate to the topic that's already being discussed. Now, it's one thing if you say, okay, I want to discuss a different topic, then we could discuss about knowledge yourself and all that. But yeah. Okay. But anyhow, okay, Pure and Complex. Pure, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I wanted to touch back on what I was talking with Complex about. So if you want to pull something biblical into this, so what he does and what thousands and millions of other people do right now is really, when you talk about the scriptures being the crystal city, that's the crystal city. This technology is the crystal city that most Hebrew Israelites like to refer back to, is this type of technology. This is the Akashic records of all of humanity throughout history is placed in this type of technology. So yeah, I want to say that, and that him advancing, it is definitely, if you talk about divine power and divine energy, it is the divine creator that is pushing this technology that he does. Just want you to be aware of that.
No, I'll
what crystal city are you talking about? I never heard any Hebrew Israelite. I'm sorry, Complex.
Go
I never
ahead.
heard any Hebrew Israelite saying it's talking about crystal city.
The crystal city in Revelation, Israel.
Oh, Israel. Okay, because it talks about Israel being made of like plenty of different jewels. But okay.
Well, that too. But I'm talking about it. Yeah.
Israel. Okay, Israel. When the Book of Revelation speaks about that, speaks about a literal new kingdom of Israel. It's not speaking about anything metaphorically. So I just want to make a correction. Speak about a literal, an actual.
I mean, we are literally here, are we not? Are we figments of our own imagination?
But
so these men and women and
this digital playground is not literal. The new kingdom of Israel that's set to come.
There's people behind those keyboards. There's people behind that technology. So they literally are there.
No. That's not the new kingdom of Israel that the Bible.
I don't think you're getting where I'm coming at with this at all.
No, I get where you're coming from. But what I'm saying is that the new Israel that's speaking about in the Bible, the new kingdom of Israel that's coming to earth, where the Bible calls heaven on earth, it's a literal place. It's not metaphorically, because it seems like you was using that as a metaphor to represent the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm saying, nah, that's not it. That's not, at least that's not what the Bible's talking about. If you want to use that as a metaphor of your own, cool. But
is that way? It's literally it says crystal, like the word crystal city.
Yeah.
Nah, not that I read it. Not that I read.
Yes, it does. I'll pull it up. I don't have time right now because I don't have a Bible, but I will pull it up. I'll give it to him and then I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Revelation.
I can give it like maybe some, if it actually says, I can give it some context, but
go ahead.
I haven't heard the Book of Revelation calling it Crystal City. Nah.
Well, for one, every one of these smartphones is made with a crystal. I don't know if people are aware of that.
Well,
Did
no,
you know
that's
that?
kind of
cobalt.
No. That's kind of it's quartz. That's kind of where I want to go with this. Like it's like all right. What I like to do.
Go ahead. Complex.
No, I just try to like keep shit. Like I said, I try to go Occam's razor with it, right? Because the tech game is pretty deep, and it does correlate to a lot of this shit. So wait, give me 1 second, okay? Give me a second, and I'll just give me 1 second.
All right, at that, Bronzebird, since you came up and you've been waiting patiently, speak, put your stank on it, brother.
Let me mute.
I ain't gonna lie, Wacky. I got so lost as it's like different things being thrown at me. Yeah. Let me first say, yeah, I understand exactly a lot of the points that's being made. I had jumped in. I was tuning in and out because I was doing stuff, but I was hearing earlier about the division, and then we was talking about tech. So if it's okay with you, I just want to give my perspective on those 2 points. I'm gonna try to stay on topic like you asked. What I was thinking about earlier when we brought up the conversation about, because it's related to that content creator, who, as usual, and he had put out that whole entire statement out there. And my thing about it is to me, I've never seen no competition. I mean, honestly, it's always been like that in society. There's always been searching for these different characteristics of certain nations that seems more plausible to the man that he wants to pick out for a mate. So, I mean, honestly, it's just a recycle of just nonsense to me. You know what I'm saying? Especially living in New York. I don't think specifically so-called black women make a deal about so-called Latinas. I mean, they might say stuff. They might be like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to find that in any nationality. That's just facts. You're going to find that. I mean, even if you look at Latinos, they have problems of their own. They don't even accept browner skin Latinos. So, I mean, honestly, that whole entire competition thing and sitting up there saying your biggest competition, I said the only reason that would be mentioned is because they're their fastest demographic growing. So that's the only reason it happens. Now, moving on to tech. Me and Complex speak or whatever, I have no problem with, we have to, it's an inevitable thing that the fourth industrial period is going to happen. Right. There's no.
It's happening.
It's happening now, but it's going to become more advanced and more advanced and more advanced. So people's just getting mad, like, oh my God, like they have this out. Oh, I would never do it. Now it goes into that whole entire. I don't know if it's called like I think of the bell curve theory. I think it's called. I forgot that when a product first comes out, there's a lot of resistance. The more that it's promoted, the more that it's the more that people buy it, then there's going to be a less resistance to it. And then a lot of people is going to jump on it. It's going to go to its peak and then it's going to go back low again until it's practically dead. And when it comes to sales, Now, with this technology, when it comes to tech, I'm not saying certain trends out there like Bitcoin, crypto, or this, that, and the third is going to have that. But it just reminds me of how, things come at its peak and it fades. So I there's certain things that I'm reserved about when it comes to tech. And I don't know if this is related to the topic, but I would just like to say it's a very inevitable thing. Now, my thing about it is you use to your discretion what helps and what doesn't help. Because, I mean, honestly, I think it's kind of a good thing that this fourth industrial revolution, or whatever stage of life is happening, because it's bringing upon the age of information. Because let's be honest, even if we go back to the whole entire race narrative, us as people, and I'm a end off in 30 seconds. My whole entire thing is I didn't know certain knowledges before a certain time period. I wasn't able to talk. I didn't know about Hebrew Israelites and death like I know now, and I'm learning, right? I didn't know about certain things about so-called black people in past periods, and that not everything is a so-called white man all day. You understand? So it's just a lot of great things can come out of this if this relates to the topic, but I just want to put my stink on that. Y'all got it.
Yeah, Complex, are you back? Because you had to say something?
He's still on mute.
Oh, I guess he's still on mute. All right.
I apologize, Wacky, if I did two topics at once. I was just, to the other topic, the one when they were talking about, then I was tackling another one. So I apologize on that.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, no problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with people having knowledge of stuff. I mean, if I had a problem, I wouldn't be referring to myself as a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? If I had an issue with that.
Yes.
Yeah. But like I told Complex that there's a separation. There have to be a separation between the two, because there's a time and place where we discuss the importance of people knowing where they really come from, their true lineage, the culture that they really come from, who they really are, and their roots, their cultural roots, because a people have to have a culture. Because if a group of people don't have a culture, then, or don't know their culture, excuse me, if a group of people don't know the culture that they come from, then, it's like what Marcus Garvey said, it's like a tree with no roots. You're not deeply rooted. And when you're not deeply rooted, how are you going to be united? Because when you look at other groups of people, what gives them unity? The culture that they come from.
Yep.
Their culture. Culture. But there's also a time and place where we should talk about things like the fourth industrial revolution, the future of our economy, the future of our children, children's economy. So It's like Complex stated, and what I agreed with is that a lot of people in these spaces put too much emphasis on speaking about the past or what they consider to be the past, and not place enough emphasis on actually doing things productive that's going to help them feed themselves, clothe themselves, and put a roof over their heads, man. Because when you go to that, then you have these excuses talking about, well, how supposedly some other person is going to stop you from actually succeeding in attempting to do things for yourself on a productive level, which that's just an excuse for people to justify their laziness. Because a lot of so-called black people that come in these spaces, their intent was never to be productive. Their intent is just to intellectually masturbate, and that's what you see on here, especially in the so-called black manosphere. A lot of intellectual masturbation.
If you want to call it that.
Can I say
if you want to call it that, I was just about to say that.
What I've observed,
let Brownsburg speak, and then
I'm gonna just say this one thing to add on to what Wacky said. My thing about it is, like I've always said, and I'm trying my best to get out of those conversations, because it's what I call Swami conversations, right? So my thing about it is that you have a lot of the dudes, and it's a shame because there's older cats that's doing this as well. They're going ahead on a soapbox, and this is the one thing I always disagree with. You cannot talk about you're in this great place and position in your life and this, that, and the third, and every single time I hear you speak, you're sitting up there talking about the same conversations we had last week. So to add on to Wacky's point, I have a problem with brothers, especially in this space, that goes ahead and wants to, recycle conversations and then make things that's completely irrelevant to wanting to uplift and move in a better direction. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Sorry. I didn't want to lose the point Pure Butterfly was making about like sort of like the allegorical stuff here. So there, let's just say that like there's kind of like a part of tech, man, that's coming online that let's just say are kind of like what you would call signs of the times, right? And what that means is that there were prior predictions about a future time, and then these type of signs would, come to the fore. So perfect example would be like the whole Age of Aquarius thing, right? And they symbolize the Age of Aquarius with the Information Age and all that kind of stuff, right? And the symbol for the wave of Aquarius is 3 waves, right? 3 water waves. Okay. What do you type into an address bar before you go to a website?
Or HTTPS, something like that.
3 W's, 3 waves.
W's. Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah, and there's a consortium called the W3, or it's like a protocol, right?
Yeah.
So these things are okay. Is that reflective of a past prediction of the future, or do these things kind of coincide, right? I'm trying to think of another sort of application to what I'm describing here, but let's just say that on the tech side of things, it's kind of understood, right? It's understood more so than I think people would think. See, so it's like, so somebody like me, for example, when I hear like, okay, what like biblical texts might say, other texts might say about a future time, and then me being engaged in it, I can totally see the correlation, so much so to the point I can relate it to different like spiritual concepts and stuff, right? Because I'm in it. And so that's once again where I'm sort of like, I want people to sort of like leapfrog, like from where they are to where we need to be right now, because it's a real big gap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you guys mind if I read that scripture for you? And this is the King James Version, and a lot of Hebrew Israelites go by it.
Yeah.
It's Revelation 21:21. It says, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gates was of 1 pearl, and the streets of the city was pure gold, and as if it was in transparent glass.
So allegorically,
hold on. Let me break it down. Do you know what that means?
There's more scriptures too.
I know. There's more. I know that scripture. Do you know what that means, though?
I know what it means.
Okay, then explain.
I'm not gonna get into details on this panel. I'm not gonna do it. But I do.
Do it.
No, I don't want to.
Then I'll break it down.
I don't give out all my pearls out on the internet because a lot of people are smart.
Then I'll give it out because if you're going to bring up that scripture,
you do your interpretation. I keep mine to myself.
Don't interrupt me. Hold on. Pure Butterfly, you always interrupt when I'm speaking, and that's very disrespectful. And I stated this every single time before I post the link to not interrupt me. So you do that one more time, I'm gonna have to kick you out. All right. So now going to Revelation, the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 21, when it says the city was pure gold as if it were transparent glass, it spoke about the clarity of the streets, because transparent glass is clear, right? It's clear. So it speaks about the street being in the new heaven. Spoke about the new kingdom of heaven that's supposed to be in earth in the city of Jerusalem. And it speaks about the street is actually made out of gold. This is where John the Revelator, who wrote the book of Revelation, was describing the beauty, because he foresaw this new kingdom. He was describing the beauty of how the new Jerusalem looks like. And he said the streets was made out of gold as if it was transparent glass, talking about the clarity of how the streets are, talking about how the streets were so clean. That's all he was talking about. He did not say anything about a crystal city. No, the city is not made out of crystal. I mean, when he described the New Jerusalem in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, he spoke about things being made out of different types of jewels. The whole city's not made out of crystal. There's no mention of a crystal city in that chapter. But
let's do this. Let's meet it. Let's meet it in the middle, right? Crystal can be a type of like glass, right? Like you have like wine glasses that are made out of crystal and stuff like that, right? So it can be a transparent material. But let's do this. Transparent, if it means transparent, that means there's nothing visual to it, right? It's transparent. You see right through it, right? See, so in the mind of a technologist, that means digital. Okay. And then if we talk about it, the heavens correlation, well, we can also correlate that to cyberspace, right? So, like I said, in my mind, okay, I'll take if I take these concepts and I literally apply it to today, like from a literal standpoint, I have to interpret these things as what I just said. Okay, transparent. That means that it's not actually physical. It's transparent. It's not physical. That means it has to be non-physical. And if we're talking about a kingdom that's non-physical in this age, it would be digital.
Okay, but my whole thing, okay, if you want to take that, but that's not what the Bible's talking about. I believe
no, I'm talking about transliteration in interpret.
Hold on, complex. But because Pure Butterfly made a statement earlier speaking about how the fourth industrial revolution being the crystal city that the Bible supposedly speaks about, that the Hebrew Israelites believe. I'm like, oh no, that's when I had to say, oh no.
Oh, okay.
when the Bible speaks about something like that, they're talking about something different. It's talking about an actual physical place that is prophesied to exist according to the Bible. Mm-hmm. Right. But if somebody, like I said, if someone want to take that and want to interpret it as something technological, they can. But the truth of the matter is, that's not what the exact scripture is talking about. But
no, I'm saying that's where I'm like, okay, so we're in this period, right? Because that, like I said, once again, you could take transparent as non-physical, and then guess what we've got Facebook doing? Metaverse and all this stuff, right? Where there's gonna be this whole digital cities and stuff, where coins can be exchanged and money can be made, and you know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. It's like if we apply it to a like literal modern context based on what we see shaping up to be, I have to interpret it as these things because I don't see any evidence of something that points to something else where there's some sort of return back to a previous time. I only see things going future forward, right?
No, it's not returning. No, that scripture is not returning back to the previous time. It's speaking about something that will happen in the future. You understand me?
Exactly.
Even though you see that, okay, you see no evidence of it. Fine, you don't see no evidence of it.
No, I'm just saying
how it's interpreted. That I'm just saying that scripture is interpreting something totally different. That's all I'm saying. It's interpreting something totally different.
Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just saying, like, right about the tech firms are largely what's driving where society's going, right? And that's where I'm kind of like, okay, so within this context, right, because that encompasses 4IR. So within that, my question to you, within 4IR, because that's literally the social paradigm that's besetting upon us right now, and I'm an active participant in it. So within that framework, you tell me, like, how does that manifest out of that? Like, how do you see that? I want to know, like, your sort of visual sort of roadmap of what manifestation of that kingdom looks like in 4IR.
Well, the thing is, they're two different things.
But that's something that's too.
I don't see them correlating together.
But no, it's supposed to manifest in this paradigm, right?
Actually, we don't know if it's going to manifest in this paradigm or in the next paradigm. We don't know.
Okay, so in a fifth industrial paradigm, so in a fifth industrial paradigm, we're even going more tech. So I'm saying, so it happens at some point here in the future.
I mean, my thing is, you ask, okay, complex. You're asking me how could I fit a Bible scripture into that specific Bible scripture into the fourth industrial revolution, when I'm saying my whole point is that those two are totally separate. So I'm not correlating, I'm not putting them two together. They're totally separated.
And let me say this one thing really quickly. I do see, I'm not well versed on the Bible. It's just I have to go with the anecdotal route, unfortunately. But what I'm learning so far is that, number one, if we're talking about the 4IR, this wouldn't be considered for the Hebrew Israelites anyway. It wouldn't. It would be for those who's in rulership, right? And unfortunately, I'm not gonna sit up there and say the so-called white man. I'm not doing that. But we all know exactly who I would be referring to. So when he's talking about the Bible, even though I did not read that scripture, I'm just learning. You know what I'm saying? My thing about it is, even when he's talking about that in Revelations, that's talking about the rulership for the Hebrew Israelites back in their kingdom and rulership. As it stands right now, hold on. As it stands right now, the Hebrew Israelites or the chosen people are not in rulership right now. So yes, they can be affected by everything that happens in society, especially the 4IR, but that's not their rulership. That's not their place. So it wouldn't.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, because the 4IR can be everybody's place if they engage in it. But what I'm saying, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I'm saying is that once again, that scripture is speaking about something totally different. So when Complex asked me how could I put that put that within the realm of 4IR, I'm saying those two are just two separate things.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Can I ask Wacky something real quick?
Go ahead.
Wacky, do you believe that when the scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun ever been presented?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes or no?
That's what. Well, it's funny you asked me a question. When I ask you a question, you don't answer mine. But okay. Yes. 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 The scriptures does says nothing's new underneath the sun. Okay. So.
Okay. Just checking.
Okay. So what's your point?
The technology, the technology we're going into has happened before, is my point.
Yeah, it's a
recycle. And the people that are leading it have memory of it because of reincarnation. They come back and they reincarnate and they reprogram the structure. That's my point.
Okay, is there any evidence of that?
Huh?
Can you provide any evidence? Hold on, somebody got to mute themselves. Okay, so Pure, can you provide any evidence of people reincarnating to today's time and being involved in the fourth industrial revolution by just recreating something that already existed before?
I can give you an example of King David when he reincarnated in Ecclesiastes. I can give you that. But
that's not the answer to my question.
Okay, but
that's not the answer to my question.
Okay, but did you give me any proof of your feeling about the interpretation of the scriptures? Where's the proof of your interpretation? Let me get that first.
But the thing is that you, okay, hold on. The thing is that it was up to you to prove that interpretation of the scripture is talking about a whole city being made out of crystal, because you made that argument. So the person that makes the argument is the one who has to prove that their argument is correct. Because remember, I was asking you to bring up a scripture to prove that your argument is correct, and you didn't do that.
Well, I'll say this: I can't prove that Jehovah exists either. So, yeah, there you go.
Okay, so you're copping out. So you're copping out, and just like how you cop out when I ask you a question about can you prove that today's technology is being done by people that reincarnated from the past, you ran away from that to ask me a question. Okay, cool.
Well, I can't confirm or deny whether I've been reincarnated or not, right? Okay, but I'm more of, like I said, I'm an Occam's razor type of guy. So I like to kind of really look at, once again, where everything's going. Okay, is like you can fight, resist, or wield it. Okay, you can be subject to it, or you can wield it. You and the thing and like petty little human idiosyncrasies, like gender wars and shit like that, hinder your progress. Right? You get caught up here because, like I said, there's a quick rollout of this shit, literally starting in January 2022. I'm involved in it. Okay. And sometimes I'm sort of like, damn, people are so like off the trail that I'm not sure if they're ever going to get back on, if they ever were. And sometimes it's just like, dude, like the focal point for a lot of things that are actually important, it's not there.
But complex.
Yeah.
It was never a lot of people's agenda to focus on what's more important.
No, I'm sorry.
It was never their initial agenda in the first place. I made that point earlier, but go ahead.
No, it's not the agenda. Here, what happens here is that people use the very medium, right, that could actually be solutions to express the problem. Do you get where I'm going with this? Yeah. The very medium that could be the fix, they're using it to talk about the fucking problem.
Well, you know what I think too? In my opinion, I think for the most part, those individuals or people are fine with comfort. And this is where we get into that dialogue, because as soon as that solution is already raised up, it's like it's a repeating cycle. Oh yeah, this is a solution, but you're not going to do anything because you stay in that comfort. So when it is offered to you, you don't know how to get out of that comfort zone because now you're being exposed to something new to you. Now it seems like a novelty. So you're not ready to process the new information. You're going to be stuck in the old information and not being able to move forward.
But again, once again, it just goes back to my point when I say that it was never a lot of people's agenda to utilize this to solve issues, outside of, Black Manson 1.0, in which our agenda was to utilize this space to solve certain issues. A lot of people, their agenda was not the same. Their agenda was just to utilize this medium as a form of therapy.
Yeah.
To just vent.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though.
Didn't we say this was attention? It was attention.
It's attention.
But it goes back to what I said about agenda. That was their agenda. That was a lot of people's initial agenda when they first come here. I'm going to come here. I'm going to vent, and cry about being an incel. Cry about how some sexually promiscuous whore don't want to give me any of a kitty cat and all that other stuff. I'm going to cry about some groupie who left some basketball player. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to sit there and talk about how some actress having a divorce from a preacher and utilize that to vent on Black females because I'm personally pissed off at Black females because I couldn't get them to come to a prom with me in 1986 and all that other bullshit. The initial agenda was to vent. That's it. It was
negotiations with. It's like I always say. It's negotiations with Keisha. That's all. What I always use that as a vernacular. But yes, Wacky. It's what I'm going to. Like I said earlier, and what Complex was saying earlier. I believe when we combine these 2 points, it's attention seeking and comfort. That's the problem with dudes in the space in general. Therefore, attention and comfort. They can't move past it. They're not on that threshold to move forward as a man. That's why I get more pissed off at the older dudes than dudes that's around my age because they're still young. You know what I'm saying? So they're not to the place where they can become wiser and just be like, okay, we recognize hoes is winning. Whether you want to complain about a random thought wants to sit up there and have an OnlyFans and she's sitting up there saying I can do what I want. Well, the premise has already been set, brother. you know that woman is not going to move to the beat of your drum. So now you create the drum for yourself and where you need to go. Therefore, you have great people like Complex, Black Brain Trust. You come in with the spiritual aspect, Wacky. And then there's other people out there that unfortunately has to be the anomaly of the space. And I'm going to throw in Big J too, because he also, when he's not yelling at some random person about nonsense, he actually brings in books to read. So he's bringing
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
All right. He's bringing in knowledge to read. So my point is, it's only going to come to a point. They're going to have to choose those that's moving the not the goalpost, but moving in that direction to be something. You understand? All right. Done.
All right. King of Lion Z45, you got the mic.
Going once.
Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm cleaning up for a minute. Be back. Give me a couple of seconds.
All right. Pure Butterfly, you got the mic.
Okay. What I just want to say is that because nothing is new under the sun, these computer systems and everything, they've happened before. Did it happen during the day of John the Revelator? Maybe not. Maybe he was in a very primitive state at that time, which is part of the cycles of humanity that we go through. But before him, you can best believe there were advanced civilizations. And I know this from my research. So maybe not during his time. Maybe when he dreamt about it, stop it. When he dreamt about it, he didn't know. Okay. So that's where I'm at. And all the problems with the feminist movement, the manosphere, and all these are all cycles. Okay. Because ultimately we want to get to a state where everybody's getting along. Everybody's prosperous. We want to have those things, right? And people being somewhat intelligently aligned to understand that these were previous concepts. Something, if very similar to the Matrix. These concepts, these different realms, right? So ultimately, the goal is that there won't need to be a feminist movement. The ultimate goal is that eventually there's no need for this manosphere. The ultimate goal is to get to where we're really supposed to be getting to, and we haven't gotten there yet. So certain things are needed, certain programs or people are needed. That's my point.
Complex, you got the mic.
That was an interesting take. I mean, I don't know. I'm dude, here's how I look at it, man. I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just here to do something, right? So that's why I never really got out of my own curiosity. I studied the past and history, right? But I've always been like a future forward type of person in my thoughts. So I've always found it beneficial at certain times to always kind of be a future forward type of person. Now, some of the tough lessons that I learned in life thinking that way was things like, kind of being ahead of the curve or doing something sort of like before its time, trying to be the first out the gate to do some shit. And, there's lessons to be learned in that. However, it's a mindset that pays off over the long run. Okay. That's where, at least for me and what I do on YouTube, that's the only shit I'm gonna talk about. You can take it or leave it. Like, you can fuck with my channel. I do the most boring shit. I talk about gardening and just, because that's what I enjoy doing. And I'll talk about my daughter and stupid stuff. And then on the Brain Trust, it's all of this type of shit right here.
You got 30 seconds.
Scale, 100%. And that's the only thing I'm going to spend my time and energy doing here. I'm not going to argue about quote unquote relationships, because in my head, I'm figuring as like, okay, as grown ass adults, you should be able to communicate without dissension. But who the fuck am I, right?
No, you make an excellent point. I just came back.
Go ahead, King.
Make excellent points. Yes, the agenda is all this. You make excellent points, and it's a big problem. It's a big issue. And that's the reason why people are not advancing. Because as long as we keep on back and forth, you're not going to grow.
Just dumb shit. Stupid. It's just stupid shit.
Yes. Yes, that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem, what's going on right now. And the problem is if our people get together, start working together, we'll not be in the situation that we're in right now. But certain people just don't want to work together. That's another problem. That's a big problem in our community, period. If they stop all the violence and all that stuff, we will advance. But a lot of people just refuse. Like, nope, I want to smoke and do all this nonsense. Like
30 seconds, King. 30 seconds.
Hey, bro, I'm smoking right now.
Okay, you hurt your temper, but hey, I get to people.
Hold on. Let him finish. You got 20 seconds remaining. King.
No worries.
That's all I'm gonna say because I just came back from cleaning up for a little bit.
All right. Now, the thing is with the gender war is that there's a time and place for that. Well, I wouldn't even call it gender war. I actually take offense to that because people was not calling this a gender war until males had a real venue to really respond back at the types of things that feminism was doing to negatively impact the state of males. That's when society or YouTube started or social media started calling this a gender war. So it's like, okay, it's not a war until males had a way to actually respond back. Okay,
it's not a war.
So I don't. Hold on for a minute. I'm not done speaking. But I'm not saying you guys are. I'm just saying in general. In general, the term was not phrased until then, until at that time. But the thing is, I don't see anything wrong with talking about it as long as it's done genuinely and people stick to speaking about facts, right? And if each side, the male and the female side, acknowledge the facts, like for example, if males in the so-called gender war, right, stated something about female behavior that's true, the females for the most part should have responsibility by saying, you know what, that is true. A lot of females do fit that description, and vice versa. If females are saying something about males that's true, males should sit down and say, you know what, that is true. There's a whole lot of males that do fit the description of that. But what you see in this is a lot of immaturity. You see a lot of immaturity. You see a lot of finger pointing, but no one looking at the mirror. They're finger pointing, but no one looking at the mirror. The pot calling the kettle black, but the pot is not looking at themselves saying, oh yeah, I'm that also. That's what you see. You see, but once again, the agenda for a lot of people to come and engage in these types of discussion was not to solve issues. It's to vent. So when you got people like that, they're not gonna come in these they're not gonna come in and speak about gender dynamics in a genuine way, in a truthful way. And not only that, also another problem that I have is people, especially in the so-called Black manosphere, being so focused and speaking about the gender dynamics and not speaking about how to improve the conditions that Black males suffer from when it comes to systematic mistreatment. And that's another issue. Once again, they come to vent. And that's my problem.
Can I say something real quick, Wacky?
Go
it's
ahead.
Along the same lines. So I agree with you 100% because I have heard you, Big J, and other men who legit are looking for solutions that have absolutely nothing to do with women. I applaud that because it's not about women. It's about self. And you have a man, I think his name is Ronan or something like that. He's got a channel. You put
Book
his
of
channel.
Ronan. Yeah, I shared his video yesterday.
Okay.
Book of Ronan.
I couldn't believe he only had 8 people listening to him yesterday because he had some really good self-care information for men. Why is he not popular? Why are men not listening to him? He's not talking anything about women. It's only about self-progression and advancement. And why aren't these men listening to him? I don't understand it.
No, you understand, Butterfly Spirit. You know why.
No, I mean, I get why they're doing it, but because it's the money. But what I'm saying is, if you're really about solutions, go to this man's channel.
But they won't, Butterfly. But look, this is where we get into this conversation. What we were saying.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on for a minute.
Oh,
hold
my
on for a minute,
fault,
Brownsburg.
my fault.
Hold on for a minute. Pure Butterfly is correct.
Yeah,
she is correct. Book of Ronin did like he made a beautiful video last night.
Yes,
it was beautiful. And the thing is that it didn't get enough views, you know, because once again, it goes back to the initial agenda of a lot of people in this space, especially in the 2.0 sector of this space, where self-responsibility and self-accountability and true self-improvement,
yes,
it is not respected. It's not respected. It's not revered, because it's not in the agenda of a lot of people in this 2.0 sector. But go ahead.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Go ahead.
Wait, did you say 2.0 sector?
2.0. 2.0.
I like that.
I heard that.
I really like that, though.
Thanks to man. Shout outs to Man of Tomorrow, man. I got that from him. 2.0.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brownsburg.
No. You know what? Honestly, I don't really have a lot of words on it. I think that you know, it comes clear to me that, you know, just the fact of the matter that those that's really solution based, or those that's looking for an exit out of remedial conversations, are going to be looked at as the underdogs. They're going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. Or, you know, they might just leave a comment in the comment boards or whatever and blah, blah, blah. And that's it. But I mean, honestly, I completely understand what you're saying, Pure. So I just want to make that clear. But I mean, it's just one of those sort of things you just know, because you it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Comfort. Those dudes found a place where they can go ahead and speak about nonsense, just like what Wacky said earlier, and they know that it can either trigger the opposite views or create an opposition, or the fact of the matter that they have a group behind them supporting the nonsense in order to agree with their message. That's not doing anything more but creating friction and nonsense, because that's what they view as important to them.
But can I hold the mirror up to this? Can I hold the mirror up to this? Because women ain't here for that shit either.
Facts.
Okay. Well, let me get this.
Let Complex finish.
Yeah. Because see, here's the thing, right? The reason why Wacky O referred to sort of like the interest spectrum of 2.0 is because 3.0 created a distinction. Okay. All about productivity, all about forward movement. It's all about ascendancy over there. Don't get it fucked up. Don't allow like O'Shea, Duke Jackson, and the rest of 2.0, as Wacky called it, cloud that shit. I'm the one who wrote the goddamn manifesto for Manosphere 3.0. And see, when it comes to things like sapiosexualism, for example, which is the future forward construct of how relationships should form going into the future. Once again, a goddamn solution that's on the table, born and bred out of the goddamn manosphere, but neither dudes or chicks don't really check in, except for the brothers that's on point and the sisters that know what time it is, and that's few and far between. So once again, I don't know. It's on both sides. It's on both sides. Like I'll see, and you know, I could be in the clouds. I could be in the clouds. Somebody text me some shit. Oh, yo, check this out. You came up in a conversation, whatever, right? And it'd be some old bullshit ass panel, and it'd be a whole bunch of chicks like on some just straight up ratch. Okay. Once again, I take your engagement in these venues, these digital venues, as a reflection of your real world practices.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Pure.
Well, I don't know if all of these people, it's their real world practices, because if you have a lot of money to be made for doing this persona or this facade, some people may not actually be that way. If they're making money, they may not be that way. But the people that are listening to them don't know that. You know what I mean? They don't know that they carry themselves totally different in their real life. You know what I mean? So
wait, say that again. Say that again?
I don't know if the people that listen to them though know that it could be a facade and that they don't carry themselves that way in their real life. The unfortunate thing is you have people listening to them who don't have intelligent introspect to see that, this is just it's almost like a TV program they're watching.
Absolutely.
Hold on. Let Pio finish. I
was agreeing with her.
So yeah, I mean, personally, I know I'm a feminist. I know that people know that, but that's only one part of my belief system, because I believe in the divine creator and I believe in divine masculine and divine femininity. I believe in those constructs. Are we there? No. Are we going through some changes and chaos through the system structure? Yes. And this is where we're at right now. But can we get there is what I know we can. We can get there. All people in unity. We can get there eventually.
So what you see, the thing is, when it comes to what Pure was talking about, to get to that level, people are going to have to do some introspection and some self-reflection by looking at the mirror
and truth-telling,
recognizing honestly what's wrong with themselves. And and that's the problem, is that in this space you don't see a lot of people doing that. Once again, you see a lot of people just venting, finger pointing, and being upset of something that happened, 35, 36, 37 years ago when I was like 2 damn years old. It's
or how about before you were born?
It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So the problem, these, and you also have people that need psychological help. A lot of people on here are in desperate need of psychological help, and they're not taking the right course to get that psychological help. Instead, they're coming on here and trying to utilize us as their psychologists or therapists.
Yep.
And actually gravitating towards like people, the very toxic individuals in this space, and regurgitating their dumbass points, thus becoming more crazy and more insane. And I'm saying this because I know of a few who I personally spoke to ended up going to jail for believing the types of things that they hear on here and acting out in public and going crazy. So I've personally known people that end up going through that. So this is, but it's all due to a lack of people just coming on here, actually utilizing this space to solve issues and also improving self.
Yes.
Let me say this. Mute for a second.
Hold on. Okay.
I'm
After
sorry.
Complex, it'll be King of Lions. Go ahead, King Complex.
Yeah, I'm gonna run a quick errand, so I'm just gonna mute and listen in. I think that's where delineation comes into play, right? So if what you have is delineation, then what you don't have is the ability to stereotype or catch all. Okay, you can choose a venue. Okay, so so once again, from my observation is that once you know that there are separate venues within a certain aggregate space, I'm going to call Black YouTube, right? As an aggregate, then there's a sphere within that called the manosphere, the Black manosphere, whatever the hell, right? And then within that, there's a manosphere 3.0, there's a 2.0, right? 1.0 is essentially 3.0, and then you have pick me sphere, woman sphere, villain sphere, and this sphere, and logic sphere, and that sphere, and all this, right? And you can pick and choose. So I'm just saying, when you have the ability to pick and choose, things become indicative. You can now start to see and chart and trend what it is that people actually are concerned with. Okay. See, so for me, it's real-time data aggregation. I'm a technologist, right? I don't look at how I interface with this shit like on some surface level. I understand algorithms, right? I understand why it is my channel, the Black Brain Trust, literally has not moved from 4,160 subs in a year. Trust me on this. YouTube has the shit shadow banned. Why? Because it feeds into competing algorithms. And you know what? People just ain't interested in the type of shit that we talk about, even though the content is tied into the same algorithms as some of the more popular people that talk about some of the raunchiest shit and have some of the most raucous goddamn panels saying some of the most absurd shit. Okay? And guess who feeds into that shit? Humans, people. There's no outside goddamn influence. That's humans like expressing their goddamn outer world dysfunction and dumping it into the digital world and feeding into the goddamn algorithm.
Facts.
Let's keep it 100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Complete facts. That's the problem. That's the issue.
All right. And before King Lions speak, is that, listen, in general, even if you agree with people, if someone speaks on here, even if you agree with them, I still don't tolerate people speaking when that person is speaking. You know, I mean, I know that some people got a habit of doing that, but on this panel, I just don't tolerate that. If a person's speaking, that person should be the only one speaking, you know. So that's how I run my panels. One person speaks at a time, regardless if you agree with their statements or not. But go ahead, King of Lions.
No, if folks,
and by the way, okay, sorry, King of Lions. Everybody be on mute while King of Lions speak, man. Everybody mute themselves.
Alrighty. If the folks stop bringing their issues to the internet and act all sociopath, psychopath, and stop their nonsense and believe in these big YouTubers and all that stuff, them pushing agendas and stuff, and actually get their act together, they will not be in the situation they're in. Or what Mikey said, like, you know, you knew somebody and they got, you know, because the way they acted off of YouTube because of somebody they believe somebody else. Well, actually, basically say they're just accepting that type of behavior and they think it's okay doing the real world. Well, actually, no, it's not, because they could end up getting you locked up or anything else. And that's a problem. Or people celebrating stuff thinking that's okay when actually it's not. Straight up what's going on. Of course, I'm not going to go deep into that because I could if I want to, but I'm not going to. And that's the biggest problem right here in this world, because people want to believe bullshit lies than the truth. So if you say the truth, oh, I'm in my feelings, I'm upset now, how dare you say this? Yeah, guess what? Guess what the issue is that you should blame who taught you those lies? The people who told you that. Don't go after the person who speaks the truth. You should go after the person
30
who
seconds. 30 seconds, King.
Sorry, I'm done now.
All right, so I'm about to close up. Man. I'm about to close up. So
can I say one thing?
Hold on for me. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys your final words. You know, Pure Butterfly. Go ahead.
So what I wanted to say to touch on what Wacky was talking about before about mental illness and everything is that when people look in the mirror, because we're using the mirror reference very often today, but if you're looking in the mirror and you see a lion, but you're actually a kitty cat, you're not telling the truth when you look in the mirror. The same thing with your mental health. When people are looking in the mirror and they're seeing something totally different from what they actually are, and they do need that mental health care that Wacky was talking about, that's never talked about on here. That's never talked about. That some people's perception of what they see when they look in the mirror is not what we're all seeing when we see them. You know what I mean? And also I wanted to touch on David Carroll. Me and David Carroll didn't get along when he was alive, but when he passed away, I felt very sad. And when I hear people talking badly about this man after he passed away, it doesn't matter whether you agreed with him, disagree with him, hated everything he said. I get that. But from one human being to another. This is a human being that just passed away, lost his life, and we don't care? Nobody cares? That I don't understand. I get that you didn't like what he said. You can disagree with all the things he said, but you have to spew hatred and give him so much disrespect after he passes away. That's the kind of stuff I don't dig from people on here. I don't
30
like
seconds, bro. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't like that type of personality that people are kicking off when you just absolutely have no humanity and don't care. That's it.
So those are your final thoughts, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
All
yes.
right. So Complex is on. Your final thoughts?
Yo, okay. I think you guys can still hear me, right? I'm in the car. Damn. I don't really have any final thoughts, bro. I just appreciate you for having me up, man. You know me, I don't do panels nowadays. So, but I'll come fucks with you, on your panel. You know what I'm saying?
All right, most definitely. Appreciate you coming through. All right.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And everyone, have a happy Saturday. Enjoy the day, and you guys have a good one. Peace.
All right, peace. All right, let me move. All right. So King of Lion Z45, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Thank you for having me on the panel. But also my final thoughts is people speak the truth. It's not for you to tickle your ears and you want to be in a good mood. And secondly, if you get mad because, I don't like this truth where I'm hearing. Okay. You don't like the truth then what's more important? Truth or lies? You pick which one you choose. Because if you like lies, you're deceiving people in your circle, in your family, and where you work at. Telling them lies and not the full truth. And guess what? When you tell lies, you just create more and more bad people in society. You can deny it, but actually that's what you do. And that's a problem, period. And that's all I got to say on that note.
All right, okay. All right. Thank you for coming on here, King of Lions.
Right. Oh, no problem, Wacky. Anytime, bro.
All right, peace. All right. So, all right. Man. I mean, this is one of these things where many topics is spoken of at one time. Oh boy. But the thing is that the venting gets on my nerves. The venting that go on in this space get on my nerves. And what also get on my nerves is even more is what people are venting about. Really, in the so-called black manosphere, what a 2.0 version of the so-called black manosphere, a lot of people who are making this content, they're venting over a lack of sexual access to females when it's all said and done. That's what they're venting about, which I find to be the dumbest reason to even vent in the first place. I find it to be the dumbest thing to talk about. You're mad over supposed lack of sexual access to the females that you like. I mean, you mean to tell me that's the biggest thing to talk about? You mean to tell me that's the most important thing in life to talk about? Sexual access or the lack thereof? Are you kidding me? I mean, here in New York City, right? You have, and I spoke about this several times, here in New York City, I think about a week or 2 weeks ago, no, 2 weeks ago, the New York City Council approved a bill that gave non-citizens a right to vote in local elections in New York City. Yeah, New York City gave non-citizens the right to vote in local elections. You know what that does? to the Black American vote in New York City, that can, and I'll say will, water down the Black American vote even more in New York City. And just imagine other cities. Now, there are other local municipalities that have that same law. There's about 11 other local municipalities in places like Maryland, Massachusetts, and I think California that has that same law. But just imagine if more and more local cities or municipalities adopt that same law. What you're going to find is that the so-called black, if this happens in more and more cities, is the so-called black vote having less and less power in these local areas. So I think that's more important for people, especially American citizens, especially Black Americans, to actually focus on than crying about the lack of sexual access to some hoes. See, because what I think, because a lot, okay, New York City is mainly a Democrat city. The overall majority of voters in New York City are Democrats, right? So my theory on the true agenda of this bill was to get immigrants, especially Latino immigrants. Here I am separating Latinos from blacks when black people do belong to the Latino ethnicity. Here I am doing that. But let's just say a lot of people that are considered to be Hispanic and are immigrants in America, not yet citizens. The agenda, that was the agenda is for the Democratic Party to get mainly Latino people who are immigrants and not yet citizens in America to be well established in the Democratic Party. And the reason why I say that is because in New York City, the majority of local officials that get elected are Democrats. So most likely, these non-citizens who now have the right to vote in New York City on local elections will be voting Democrats. So the Democrats' purpose is to get more of the Latino vote and to get them and to basically establish them as Democrats before they become citizens of the United States, to then have the right to vote in the federal elections or national elections. So that's a strategy created by the Democratic Party. And if more local jurisdictions are going to follow New York City, most likely these jurisdictions are blue cities, like New York City is a blue city. So that's what's going to that's what I see happening. I see the Democratic Party, because it's mainly Democrats within the New York City Council that approved this bill. Once again, in my opinion, their agenda is to get these non-citizens established in the Democratic Party so once they become citizens, they can also vote Democrat when it comes to national elections, to give Democrats more of a foothold in the political realm. But at the same time, that can backfire, because if more and more local municipalities adopt the same law like New York and other cities have, what you can have is a revival of that conservative / Trump era state of mind, where a lot of people in America, especially a lot of Caucasians in America, are going to be steaming upset and might have more of a reason to vote on the red side. Yeah. Cities in California have already done that. Yes. Cities in California have already done that. So, like I said, it's a smart strategy on the part of the Democrats, but it can backfire on them because that can motivate a lot of people in America to vote on the side of the GOP. Because once again, it is for the most part Democratic cities that are doing this. And in a lot of these Democratic cities, most local officials are Democrat. As a matter of fact, in a city like New York, for the most part, you have little to no chance of even successfully being in an elected position unless if you're a Democrat. Thus, a lot of these non-citizens who have the right to vote in New York are mostly going to vote Democrat. So it's a strategy for the Democratic Party could have more of a foothold in his Latino vote. Because when that bill was written, the intent was to give mainly Latino immigrants the right to vote. So, and if that happens, that can water down the so-called black vote even more. And once again, I'm separating Latinos from so-called black people, even though Latino is not a race, Latino is an ethnicity. But nonetheless, a lot of people in America like to separate the two. So due to that, I'm saying that can further water down the black American vote. And that's something that people within the so-called black manosphere should be focusing on instead of focusing on Megan Good's divorce with her husband or soon-to-be ex-husband, or focusing on Brittany Renner and all that other bullshit. Dick Doug says, yes, Wacky. When I came to this space in 2013, my issues was with black female customer service and faculty members. I don't know where this lack of sexual access comes from. Well, you could blame on the 2-point host sector. The 2-point host sector, especially when it comes to a content created by the name of Obsidian. He opened the door for all these so-called incels to come into the space and infiltrate the space with their bullshit. But okay, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. It's time for me to get going. All right. Pure Butterfly says that's why Democrats are bribing with stimulus to non-citizens. Right. Exactly. Right. So, all right, man. So, peace to all you that came on the panel. Peace to all you that came on the chat. And peace to all you that's cloud watching or that's watching on the playback. All right. Peace.